D-May, Svingen, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Gang's all here. Willie Donick is back from Stockholm, Sweden. We've missed you. Between
That's the only Swedish I know. Skål.
You were there for a week.
And that's all you picked up?
Picked up one word.
One more word than I know in Swedish. But between your international travel and the sinus infection you were dealing with a couple of weeks ago, we've barely seen you. We're happy you're back.
It's good to be back. Good to be back.
Derek Mason
Yesterday
is here.
was the longest day in the history of my life.
I can only imagine.
Just going back in time, it was just, it started so early, like local time. The broadcast started at 7:30 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And we arrived last night at 1 a.m. So there was a lot that went on yesterday.
Man,
but
25?
I'm back.
Yes.
I'm ready to go. I took a little time this morning, adjusted. I'm feeling good. Feeling good.
Derek Mason is here as always. David Janes is here as always. I'm also here. So let's get right to it.
Do we have to?
Yes. That's why people are listening. We get right to it.
Man. Well, let's go.
Derek, last week,
yes,
we discussed the Titans' shrinking footprint in our state. Mm-hmm. The game against the Texans yesterday did not air in Memphis. It did not air in Knoxville. And it did not air in Chattanooga. And for pretty much the whole game, the citizens of those fine cities were spared by not having to watch eye-glazingly boring football. Mm-hmm. But Cam Ward,
I successfully listened to the game on the plane without falling asleep. So give me credit there.
Oh, wow.
Credit is earned.
I was doing my due diligence to follow the team. I couldn't get the telecast on the plane.
You must have been watching a good movie.
That is
if you couldn't get it in Knoxville, you probably couldn't get it in Stockholm, right? So
definitely.
There's a good chance.
But I was able to tune in via the satellite. So
now that is dedication.
That was dedicated. Yes.
Willie listened, did not watch, listened to that game.
Oh, yes.
On a transatlantic flight. Excuse me. That is dedication. But despite that eye-glazing boring football, Cam Ward did lead an impressive touchdown drive to tie the score late in the fourth quarter. So at least there was some excitement. And the Texans ultimately won 16-13 on a walk-off field goal. So the Titans remain in position to have the number 1 overall pick again, which is good. I can fire up tankathon.com at any moment. But the purpose of the second half of the season, because the wins don't matter, the purpose of the second half of the season is to see improvement from the Titans, and specifically from Cam Ward. He made some nice plays on that late drive, including a 39-yard pass to Chigakonkwo down the left sideline that set up the tying touchdown to Van Jefferson. But overall, I still am feeling unsatisfied, not only by Cam Ward, but from the Titans as a whole. So, Derek, let's start here. How should we feel about Cam Ward in the Titans after the 16-13 loss to the Texans yesterday?
First, let's address it's not a footprint. It's more like a fingerprint. And more so your pinky and not your thumb or something like that, something larger. So it's a fingerprint. And that's embarrassing in itself that you only have a fingerprint within your own state. So that is that. How should I tell, or, the Titan fans, how they should feel about Cam Ward and the Titans, or Cam Ward specifically? Listen, it's what I am understanding and looking at now is that it's very hard to evaluate the guys that you will be here, these young guys. And I say that because this team is not good. People think this is a dysfunctional franchise. Cleveland's dysfunctional. That's a dysfunctional franchise right there. And I can list about 2 or 3 more. I don't think the Titans, when it comes to this, I don't think that's what it is. This team is just bad. And it's not even fun.
It's a little funny.
This team is bad. When they do just about everything right, they still end up losing. That is a bad team. And they were playing another bad offense.
With a backup quarterback.
So How should the fans feel about Cam Ward first? Listen, because, and we're going to talk about this in the days to come. But remember Carolina, how they wanted Bryce Young out of there? They wanted him. It was a mistake. It was a mistake to draft him. That's all everybody was screaming. It was a mistake. And you know what? At that time, it was. Why? Because they didn't have the infrastructure. They didn't have the coach. They didn't have anything to surround this young man with. And then they expected him to go out there with already his limitations, meaning his height. They expected him, but this is the damn good player. He won the Heisman, led a team to a next. This is a damn good player, but they just didn't have the infrastructure around him. Why? Because they traded away a lot of pieces the year before. Eventually, when they started putting things around him and building a team, look, they're 6-5 right now. And he just had the best game of his young career. And he's looking good this season. So I say that to say this. I can't tell you how to feel about Cam Ward because I know some of you probably already made up your mind that he should be out of here. And some have made up your mind and said, no, give him a chance. I'll tell you one thing. The Titans hadn't made up their mind. They haven't. And it's going to be a good while before they do that. So with that being said, they need to surround the kid with talent. That's it. He needs to get better in some areas, but how can he get better when nothing's in front of him getting better? People understand that, but they don't want to actually put that to thought like, okay, I can't see that happen. People think that, but they don't want that to come out of their mouth. Why? I don't know. But I can't develop in a bad situation. Tell me what player has developed in a bad situation. None. No player has developed. Look at
it's hard.
They talk about Manny, meaning the dad. They talked about how great he was.
Archie, you mean?
Archie. They talked about how great Archie was. He was on bad teams.
Terrible teams.
And he couldn't develop. He probably could have been a much better quarterback had he started off in New York at those days or San Fran or Pittsburgh. He probably would end up being a much better quarterback. But because that didn't happen, they didn't surround him. It was like he always was that, man, that was that quarterback that could have been. He had all the tools. It ain't like he was just they just didn't do anything around him. I see so many quarterbacks nowadays. Caleb Williams, same thing. Last year, 2 years ago, whenever he got drafted, people wrote him off. He can't learn. That was a bad franchise. They were making bad moves. They hired the right coach, and look at what's happening to him, right? They lead the NFC North right now. And who would have thought that the Chicago Bears would lead the NFC North? But a couple of tweaks here, build that roster around him, and here we go.
It's a good point.
It's the same with Cam Ward. That's what I'm saying. Like, just wait. I'm not saying he's going to be the guy or not. But until they surround this young man with the right infrastructure, meaning the coaching staff, and then the players, we're not going to see whatever he is supposed to be. And if you think you're going to see it, you don't know football. And I'm going to say that right now. If you think you're going to see it without that bit happening, you don't know football.
He's definitely not a guy that is going to put a team on his back at whatever age he is right now. He's not that guy. I'm not sure what his ceiling is, but I'm looking for improvement. And yesterday, I would say that having gone back and watched things, it was a positive day in that he had some good moments. There were a couple of things that I thought were tangible things that we've talked about that need to get better. He got rid of the ball quicker. They're finding ways to have him release the ball quicker. He's learning that. I think we can try to say that. And he had a couple of runs that were meaningful runs. That's a little bit of progress. Now, I want to see more of that. And he did it on a day where he had some injuries thrown at him from the very, very get-go. And his numbers weren't bad. And he had a good moment where he got him down there, tied the game. And ideally, if you really want to get funky about it, it was probably better that they lost.
Yeah.
Maintain the high pick, right? But it's about as positive as you get without winning the game because he has a moment. He gets through the adversity. We see these little things. We know he's got nothing around him at all. And they still lose the game and maintain the best way to improve the roster, and that's through the draft.
To your point, Willie, the NFL noted that Cam Ward recorded an average time to throw of 2.6 seconds against the Texans, the fastest of his career. Through the first 10 weeks of the season, Ward averaged 2.97 seconds per throw, fifth longest in the NFL. But let's focus on that final drive, that 11-play, 95-yard touchdown drive. As Willie mentioned, Cam Ward had a 20-yard scramble during that drive. He made that 39-yard pass to Chigakonkwo to set up the Van Jefferson touchdown. But this is the question I also have about it. How much confidence should we derive from Ward's fourth quarter heroics? We asked the same question several weeks ago when the Arizona Cardinals puked the game away and Cam Ward was excellent in the fourth quarter. We saw a snapshot of what Cam Ward could be in that fourth quarter at Arizona. Once again, we saw a snapshot of what Cam Ward could be late in the fourth quarter yesterday. But how much confidence should we truly derive from those two glimpses of what Cam Ward can be when you consider the total of the season, which has not been great?
I think there should still be some, okay, he needs to prove more. He needs to do it more consistently. I think that needs to be there, because there were two throws in the game that I thought that they were his throws to be made, and he didn't make them, and both of them were deep corner routes. One was a corner route, and the other was a wheel to Mason Kinsey. I don't know if Mason Kinsey was supposed to look outside because that's what Cam threw it, or was he supposed to look inside because he was wide open. I'm gonna put that on Cam. And those two throws right there, I think he needs to get better at those deep corner routes. And listen, we've seen him make those throws here and there. Gunnar Helm corner route, a fade sort of. He had, I think, DK on one and Chig the last, this last game. So he's hit them. But more and more of those shots are going to be there because they feel he can make that throw. Well, he got to start hitting those at a higher rate, because right now he's leaving yards on the ground. And I think they are things that with the proper footwork, they can get better. And again, he's throwing to new guys, the Mason Kinsey one. That's the first time he threw to Mason Kinsey.
And it's Mason Kinsey,
exactly.
The quintessential practice squad guy who ends up playing a couple games, and he's great for what he is.
Exactly.
But
it's just
he needs more weapons.
Exactly. So he needs to get better at things. But I think you look at him and you say, I just need to see more of those moments. But in order to see more of those moments, you got to get help, because all of that was helped. All of that was able to be facilitated and played or whatnot. It's because everybody was doing their job. When you don't have everybody doing their job and they're not helping you, it's harder to make those type of plays or throws.
Let's go to Keegan on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunted.com. Keegan, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I had a question for D. Mace.
Mm-hmm.
So usually I listen to the 9 to 12 show, Next Man Up with Jake Lehman. Today I called in and I made a little point about how, NFL teams, they don't tank. Tanking is really not a thing in the NFL. And someone had called in after saying, hey, that's totally wrong. We just saw us tank on Sunday. Tanking happens every year. I want to ask D. Mace, considering you were in the NFL, you were in that locker room. Well, what's tanking like in the NFL? Does it fly? Does it not fly? How do guys react to that? And I kind of want to hear a perspective of someone that was in it, possibly a tanking team, not really tanking at one point. I just want to hear what it sounds like from you. So
Thank you, Keegan.
I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you for the call,
Keegan. Thank you for listening. We appreciate it.
You weren't really on many bad teams in your career.
On many bad teams. And the only reason, honestly, if we were a bad team, it was because of injury. And it wasn't because that's how we were predicted to be. But the general question is, does tanking exist in the world of the NFL? From my experience, it doesn't. It's hard for me to believe that you can convince 53 guys or even 10 guys to tank, and go out there and purposely lose a game. And I get it, all the gambling stuff that's going on, but to say, well, we're going to throw this game so we can get the number one pick. Guys just don't operate. Guys, it's like, man, I got to earn my paycheck, man. I don't know if I'm going to be here next year. And then that guy they drafted, they might be drafting him, to replace me. So it's always I need to do what I need to do to make sure I secure my job first and foremost. That means doing the right thing, being where you're supposed to be, and being productive out there on the football field. But tanking players we don't even think about it. That's more so of a like outside the building thing, because inside that stuff, it honestly, the locker rooms that I've been in, it has never even been a thought to say, yeah, man, we get number one pick. And no, it's just, at least from my experience, it doesn't happen.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your reaction to the Titans' loss to the Texans yesterday. Quickly, some breaking news in college football. Via Pete Thamel of ESPN, Virginia Tech and James Franklin are finalizing an agreement for him to become the school's next head coach.
I will tell you, I think that's a good match. I think James Franklin will do well there, and for two reasons. Number one, he's a guy that a little bit like, let's see, who would be the guy in other sports? There's maybe a Peter Laviolette type of guy in the NHL. He's going to come in and he's going to have energy for a program that has the fan base, but they're flat right now. They've not had success in a while. He is going to get that group going. The other thing is he recruits very well in that area. That is a hotbed of recruiting. I think that's a good fit for James Franklin.
So James Franklin in agreement to become the next head coach of the Virginia Tech Hokies. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Jeffrey Simmons sounded off after the game yesterday. We will play that for you. There's also a question that I want to ask Derek about how Jeffrey Simmons' words should fly in the locker room. We will get to that next. 615-737-1025. Mondays were made for Macero. Big screens, bold flavors, and all the football action. From queso to kickoffs, this is how Macero does game night. Macero Football Mondays in 12th South. Don't miss a snap.
Can't have that many false starts. We need to be better. I mean, we can't keep sitting up here saying the same thing, trying to sugarcoat it for the media, for anybody. And I said it in the locker room, I said it on the field. I'm tired of sugarcoating it. I mean, we need to be better. At the end of the day, we need to protect Cam better. Simple.
How do you guys feel as a defense when knowing if you give up 2 touchdowns or or whatever, that's going to be hard to win?
I mean, at the end of the day, it's about complementing football. We have to play better team football. Sometimes the offense will be playing good, sometimes the defense, but how can we play good as a team, 3 phases? We not playing good team football right now, and it's showing. And Mike said it at practice Friday. We had freaking 4 false starts Friday. We playing at home. We shouldn't have that many false starts. Don't care. I'm tired of saving feelings. I'm tired of losing. That's what I'm tired of doing.
That was Jeffrey Simmons after the game yesterday. Titans lose 16-13 to the Houston Texans. As he said in that clip, the Titans had 4 false starts in Friday's practice. Paul Kaharski of paulkaharski.com tweeted this a few hours ago. Quote, talked to multiple people about this. My sense is Simmons exaggerated to make a point. I believe practice squad offensive lineman playing role of Texans jumped once and a Tennessee wide receiver jumped once in Friday practice. But false starts were an issue yesterday. There were 5 of them, 3 of which were by J.C. Latham. And we will talk about J.C. Latham later in the program. But here's the question I have for Derek. Consider this Ask D-Mace. I have a question for you, Derek. How do you feel about a defensive player calling out the offense? I know that Jeffrey Simmons is a leader of the team, but we've talked about this before, about how offense takes care of offense, defense takes care of defense. So how do you feel about Jeffrey Simmons calling out the offense after the game yesterday?
This is a tricky one because this is all about maturing as a leader. Again, I haven't been in Jeffrey Simmons' situation, meaning I haven't been on a bad team like that. And our teams, the teams that I played on, we always had those veterans in the locker room. So, even if we lose, I mean, we started off 1-4 at one time, but we were able to stay together because we understood this is a veteran locker room. We got a lot of leaders, man. Let's just follow those guys. And we regrouped and we end up making the playoffs. So this is all a process for Jeffrey Simmons because this is a slippery slope now. Because that's like, one spouse shouldn't be always, complaining about airing out the dirty laundry in front of everybody. You and your wife, y'all may have a little small argument, then y'all go in front of everybody and you start telling her what she's not doing and all this, and then you need to do this better. And that never ends up right. It never ends up in a good place. I know where his heart is. I know what he's doing. I know what he's trying to say. I understand that part. And again, maybe I don't understand because I haven't been in that situation. But I'm just talking from whatever situation I was in leadership that we had. It was like, no, like in private, you need to do your job better. This and that. But we never aired out our dirty laundry in public. We just didn't do that. You have things said here and there, but I'm not blaming, listen, I'm not blaming Samari and Blaine and Bullock and those guys. I'm not blaming them if we lost, even if they played bad. The defense played. I'm not blaming. No, they could play bad 2 weeks in a row. No, they know what they need. They are holding each other accountable on that side of the ball. They're doing that. Steve never said anything about those guys. Eddie never said anything about those guys in public. And vice versa, when we had that trouble, and believe me, we had trouble scoring. Y'all witnessed it. We had trouble scoring those years. We were going 8-8, even because we had a run or we wasn't flashy. But Blaine and them ain't get on the airwaves and screaming how bad we are, or they need to do this. And no, we may have talked about it in the locker room. So in the locker room, let's challenge each other. We're gonna challenge each other. But I think people are getting too comfortable with airing out their laundry in the media, and then when it get used back on them, they get mad at the media for using it back on them. And I'm not saying that they're going to do this with Jeffrey. And again, this is a tricky one because he's the biggest voice in that locker room. The biggest voice. He may be the biggest voice in that building, honestly. Judging by them saying they're not going to trade him in this, he's the biggest voice in that building outside of the owner. You see what I'm saying? So it's still a process for him. But if you're asking me, like, no, I don't like that you called out basically you called out JC. You called out JC. And listen, they may have that relationship and they may be fine. But if you can dish it, you got to be able to take it now. You got to be able to say, if somebody say you need to be getting some more sacks or you need to be doing this, it's about understanding one another. But when those curtains close, that's why coaches, they only give out so much. They only give out because Vrabel hated that. He hated talking to y'all. And he hated giving y'all information, us, to anybody. But the players are so freely, they just give it to everybody. Just, here, take it. Here, you want to know what's here? This is what we said. And I know the coach probably like, damn. Gosh. But again, it's all a process. I'm not getting on Jeff or anything like that. I want people to understand and hear me. I guess more so my father's side is coming out, like my dad's side. But it's just a learning process for him. I wish he would have did that. He wouldn't even air that out. I wish he would have just said all of us, and he said it, but he should have kept it like all of us.
And I think you can keep the passion
yes.
of getting your point across. I'm tired of losing. Like there's nothing wrong
there's
with
nothing
saying
wrong with that.
But stay away from some of the specifics you're talking about.
Yeah,
I think that's the right way to channel
losing
it.
team when you start doing that.
Yes, and he's playing well. That's the good. Like he comes back in there and he did a good job playing in that game.
Some reaction on our text line, 615-737-1025. Ryan says, Simmons sounds stupid for taking a dig at the offense this time. They did their job scoring a touchdown to tie with under 2 minutes to go. His defense dropped the ball, not keeping them in field goal range. Our friend Gover says, by calling out the offense, Jeffrey Simmons is a leader, but if he calls out somebody next week, then it becomes an optics problem for him. He gets one and he took his shot. Jeremy in Clarksville says, maybe my view is skewed. I've served a couple decades in the military. Even if you know your team/unit is bad at something, you never say it in front of outsiders. You take care of your business
I think that's
as a team.
I think that's a good point. And I think that's the best way to do it. And if he did say exactly what he said, I think you also turn it back and you mention, and we've got to get a stop on the last drive. We had him 3rd and 16. We've got to get a stop right there. Like he makes that, he puts it on himself too. Like I didn't get to, like, you take some responsibility while you know, for lack of a better term, barf all this stuff out, your frustration, right? He's just, because there's nothing wrong with the passion. It's just the channeling of it. And look, he's going to be around. They made their choice. They said, we want to build around Jeffrey Simmons. So let's keep working on this. It's not too late to keep working on your leadership skills.
And listen, this is something that, you know, he's refining his skills of being a leader because, frankly, he is the only leader. He is the only guy that has been with this organization, and last time they were really good. I'm trying to figure out, has there been anybody else? Honestly, I don't know. Maybe Amani Hooker. He was the only other player, but I'm not sure if there were. The last time this team was really good, I don't think these guys were on that team. I could be wrong, but Jeff was. He was on the tail end of that. And he understands and knows what it looks like and knows what it takes. So I'm not sitting here getting on him. What I said, he's still refining his leadership skills, and he's frustrated and he wants to win. I'm sure everybody in that building knows Jeffrey Simmons wants to win badly. But my thing is to him would be, yes, we know you want to win, but don't sacrifice your brothers in the process. that never works out well for you.
One texter says, didn't Jeff have a pretty dumb penalty on a field goal try that extended the drive? Can't remember if it resulted in a field goal or touchdown. That was at the beginning of
It
the
really
game.
wasn't a penalty. That was
That
a
was a bad call. And
was a
it
really
didn't
bad
cost them
call.
because they stopped them later in the drive.
Right. Was that the Cody
No,
Barnes?
they got a field goal on that one.
Wasn't that the Cody
I
Barton
thought they got
sack?
stopped on the fourth down.
Was it
Am I
on the
wrong?
fourth down?
Wasn't that early in the game?
It was early in the game.
So it may have
So they
been
didn't
the
score.
fourth down.
They got down to the 2 and went for it on 4th and goal to 2. Is that right?
I'll look it up. But then Barton sacked Mills. I
Yes,
think
you're right. You're
that's,
right. Yeah,
that's how the
Yes.
play ended. All of these things just run together when you're watching the Tennessee Titans. Brian says, just another thought on this. With the team always having their heads buried in the sand and so naive reality could okay, could he be the only one speaking the truth and knew he needed to do it through the media to get his point across instead of just in the locker room?
That doesn't fly in this world. It doesn't. You don't do something like that in the media just so you can get your teammates' attention. That is total opposite of the way this world works inside of an NFL locker room. You're right next to the guy. You can say exactly what you need to say. His locker is no more than 20 feet away from him, at most 20 feet away from you. So you can walk to him and let him know. So no, I'm not looking at this as some cryptic way for him to try to get to his players. He's not a coach.
Also, here's a good point that I think this is, once again, you didn't play on a lot of bad teams, but I think we see this, like I'll think about Vanderbilt football, right? Over some lean years. There are the same guys that have to answer the same questions when you're losing every week.
Yes.
That's not easy. I mean, Adam, you've probably seen hockey teams that were struggling, and you got to go in there. Okay, this is your 7th loss in 9 games. Like the Predators are going through it right now. You see Ryan O'Reilly right now, and he almost wanted a do-over that last time where he just poured his heart out, took everything on himself, and his teammates know that it wasn't him. He didn't call any of his teammates out, but he's like, basically, I stink. I'm a bad player. This is awful. But I think when you're struggling and the media is coming to you every time, that's a challenge, right? And so Jeffrey Simmons, I'm sure he's getting tired of answering, hey, how come you guys, what's the deal? How come you guys can't win it? You guys are 1-9. He's answering the same questions every week. That's tough.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your reaction on the Titans' loss to the Texans and what Jeffrey Simmons had to say after the game. Fair or foul from Jeffrey Simmons? Your thoughts. 615-737-1025. We will bring Teron Davenport, ESPN, NFL Nation Titans reporter, into this conversation. He will join us next. Also, be listening throughout the show because we not only have one giveaway, we have 2 giveaways during today's program. You can win a pair of tickets to see Belmont women's basketball take on Lipscomb at the Curb Event Center this Wednesday. You can also win, and this is a pretty good prize if I do say so myself, a 4-pack of tickets to see All Elite Wrestling, Dynamite, and Collision at the Pinnacle next Wednesday, November 26th. I'm sure as hell going to that. And you can too if you're listening and you win those tickets. So Belmont basketball tickets, AEW tickets to give away during the show. I will give you the cue to call as the show progresses. But Teron Davenport is coming up next. 615-737-1025. DVD is presented by Bax Homeworks. Remodeling done right. Get a free estimate at baxhomeworks.com. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Before we bring in our friend Teron Davenport, some breaking NFL news from Adam Schefter. The NFL has suspended Jamar Chase for spitting at Jalen Ramsey. Chase denied spitting at Ramsey. Schefter writes, but the league determined the video evidence was sufficient to warrant a suspension. So a one-game suspension for Jamar Chase for spitting at Jalen Ramsey.
I don't understand these kids nowadays. I really don't. Spitting, that is so degrading when you spit on somebody or spit at somebody. Should have been longer than one game, honestly.
But how does he think?
I just don't get it.
Like deep down, he's got to know.
Yeah,
Jalen
Ramsey, I'd have punched him in his face. I would have went after him after that. I would have went at.
Right. Did you think it wasn't on video? Like,
yeah, it's just like,
or there's cameras everywhere.
Like, dude, why do you disrespect? Like, that's a total lack of respect for the game. These kids talk about how much they love the game, and I'm not saying they all these kids don't. And I don't want to single out one guy and make it seem like this is everybody's problem. But we've seen this too many times where someone is spitting on another person. It's like, dude, it ain't even that serious, really. And you wouldn't spit on me if we was out in the streets. You just wouldn't do that. But this is a total lack of respect for the game, let alone for your opponent. But it's a total lack of respect for the game, period.
Let's welcome in Teron Davenport, who is presented by Bart Durham Injury Law and fueled by Parman Energy. Teron, in the previous segment, we played part of Jeffrey Simmons's scrum after the game yesterday. Two-part question for you. One, for as long as you've covered the Tennessee Titans, is that the maddest you've seen Jeffrey Simmons after a game? And two, how did the offensive players you spoke to today respond to what Jeffrey Simmons had to say yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably as upset as I've seen him. Rightfully so. He came back and he was hoping to, get a win. It was an opportunity where they should have won that game as it kind of played out down the stretch. So, yeah, he was upset. That's the worst. The offense, I mean, we only talked to Lloyd Cushenberry. That was the only one. We don't get open locker room on Mondays, but he was the offensive player. Jahad Ward was the defensive player. And Cushenberry and even just in the locker room yesterday, talking to them, Cam Ward, some of the other guys, like they understood the frustration and they know they have to play better and it's not, they're not contributing to their part of the formula and it's making it difficult.
Teron, Cam Ward led a 95-yard touchdown drive in the fourth quarter to set up an exciting finish in what was an otherwise, I call it, boring game. You may see it otherwise. But my question for you is, how much confidence should Titans fans derive from Ward's performance on that fourth quarter drive? It reminds me a little bit of how we talked about Cam Ward's performance in the fourth quarter several weeks ago at Arizona. So how much confidence, based on what you saw from Ward, what he was able to do, leading the team all the way down the field, how much confidence should Titans fans derive from that particular part of the game?
Well, I don't know that there's a whole lot of confidence that they should derive from it. I think it's just, you got to understand that it's all a process. And these people that are so quick to rush to judgment about this, that, and the third, you got to let the man get acclimated to the league. And I think what you saw was a guy that was able to get rid of the ball quicker. Now, as Mike McCoy said, when I asked him about that today, a lot of that had to do with those guys coming off the edge. And it was, there was some game plan to get the ball out. But I think he showed you that he can do it. I think that's the thing that you got to pull from it. He showed you that he has the moxie. And, these are the things that he did at Miami as far as, coming up clutch and really good in the clutch and things like that. And, that's what he did on that drive. And I think the thing that you got to take away from that also is the fact that they had to change personnel up, right? They had to go to more 12 personnel because of how, much they were down on the receivers. And, when Ayamana had his hamstring, he was limited, and DK with the chest contusion, and obviously Ridley with the fibula broken.
Now, TD, you said you spoke with Lloyd Cushenberry for a minute. How does he feel about the offensive line just in general? Because yesterday they were playing pretty good up until a point, and I know Houston ended up with 3 sacks, but at one point I think even into the third quarter, it was the Titans didn't give up any sacks. And that's what a lot of people were talking about. Hey, these two rush ins, the Titans' bad offensive line, this is going to be a sack fest. It didn't ultimately end up that way. But how did JC feel about his play in the offensive line's play?
Yeah.
I mean, Cushionberry, I'm sorry.
Right. No, I know what you meant. But I'm glad you mentioned him because I was going to touch on that too. I think when you look at it, they understood that there were too many penalties and the false starts, 5 of them. But outside of that, and that's not to discount it because it's still part of the program, that they put out there. But, I think for the most part, as far as the pressures and stuff like that, I think, they did a solid job. And Cushionberry will tell you the same thing. And I think, you mentioned J.C. Latham, and obviously those false starts that he had were terrible. And, they had their own story to each of them, et cetera. But I think if you actually look at his play itself, he didn't play bad. He actually played pretty well, against those guys. Neither of them, got sacks on him. And, he limited the pressure. So I think he did a solid job for the most part.
Now, how much is, because, listen, the talk was Calvin Ridley's back. Will he play? He ended up playing briefly, one play. But you saw very early on that he was probably going to be a fixture in that offense. Great throwback, Cam, good catch. Ultimately, he gets injured. This kid can't buy a break. No pun intended. But do you think that was something that they were looking to do? Get Calvin Ridley involved very early? Because I think if he's in the game, even the things that I've said about him being inconsistent, I think you have another pass catcher on the field that may cause Houston to play defense a little bit different.
Yeah, and that's what Cam Ward said in regards to Ridley. Like, he's like, it's Calvin Ridley. You got to respect him. And he's a guy that defenses are going to have to adjust to. And I think 100% that was the case. And it's just crazy wild how this team, even when they do something right, it has bad consequences, right? Because how many times has it been said, hey, don't run the ball on the first play of the game offensively, right? They do it all the time. And so now they get away from it, and now one of your best offensive weapons ends up hurt. So it's just an example of just how this team is just, they can't win for anything. It's a catch-22 with almost everything with them.
Teron Davenport is with us. So, Teron, let's try to look at some of the things that they're trying to inch forward. Let's start with Cam Ward. A couple of key runs at key times. That's a step in the right direction to be. Have you seen that building some? Are you confident we're going to see a little bit more of that as we go forward?
Yes, because that's one of the things that he thought about over the break. In addition to making the easy play, the easy throw. But, I mean, look, that's one of the easy plays. They're man defense back to the quarterback, and, you got a rush lane. And he said that because of the way that they rushed the passer, that there were going to be lanes for him to escape and make a run and scramble. So that's what you saw. But I think in addition to that, you also have to look at what Mike McCoy said when we talked to him last Monday, and he mentioned how he watched other quarterbacks and saw how decisive they were as far as throwing the football, but more importantly, running. And I think that's something that was kind of preached to Cam, to be more decisive. I think it was like 2.6 seconds per throw, which is down from the 2.9 that he was at. So all of that is going into the account of being more decisiveness, knowing when to run the football, and then also when to go ahead and throw it, get it out your hands quickly.
That leads me into, I think, a big question for Mike Borgonzi as he's watching Cam Ward make these little baby steps and hopefully figure out what does he do really well, where is he going to continue to get better, and in the big picture, what do I want the offense to look like with the new coaching staff, whoever that ends up being? What do you think goes through his mind? What do you think he's learned about Cam Ward, Borgonzi, in the weeks since they've made the change with Callahan?
Yeah, I think he's learned that Cam is pretty much unflappable, and you could put him in pretty much any situation, and he's not going to fold. Now, will he come through and make a tremendous play? That's to be determined. But I think yesterday showed you that he's capable of it. So really, it just comes down to knowing that you got a guy that you could put in the fire and he's going to be okay. And that's the main thing. Then you also see, like, hey, got to put some weapons around him, right? And I think, you look at what Chig accounted, that was a tremendous catch by Okonkwo, on that corner route that he made. And it was a tremendous throw.
They need some more guys to make plays like that, without a doubt. That's hopefully going to be in the cards. Do you have a sense of anything materializing on the coaching search? Do you think there's any chance that they will keep any portion of the staff, offensively or defensively, when they make the change, or when they decide that it's not an interim anymore?
Yeah, I don't even think they have any sense of that, honestly, because once you hire the person, once you hire the coach, he's going to have his guys, and sometimes you have spillover, sometimes you don't. But it really depends on the guy who's coming in. I mean, it's just, like Bill Parcells used to say, if you're going to make me cook, at least let me go get the groceries.
Right.
And that's obviously for the players when he was talking about that, but I think it applies even more to the coaches, because those are the ones that you have in place, institute, and all of your core principles.
Two more quick ones. Gunnar Helm just had a good question on our YouTube chat about him. How do they get him to a next level? Because the more you watch him, like it's like when they throw it his way, good things seem to happen. What's next for him?
Yeah, I mean, he's been targeted 31 times, caught 26 of them, right? So Mike McCoy said he wants completions. Well, scheme up more ways to get him the football. And
Yes.
I think really it just comes down to giving him the targets. Now, I'm still not sure how many plays that they're calling where he's one of the top options, and Cam is getting away from it sometimes. But, I mean, it's really just the bottom line is you don't want to force it to him, but you got to take advantage of this man's ability. And I think, there's different things that you could do to get him the ball, and they have to do that more because he's clearly a playmaker.
Last one, your perspective on Jeffrey Simmons. We had a good talk with D. Mace about this earlier in the show. But one thing, and you've watched it because you cover this locker room every day, and they've gone through the struggles without a doubt. So the same guys get asked the same questions every week after these losses. It can't be an easy thing to do. But how do you think they're handling that part of it? Specifically Simmons, who's always going to be the go-to guy.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. And actually, you've seen a lot of growth in Jeffrey Simmons. And I'm proud of the way that he's stood up and handled a lot of this, because he is clearly tired of the losing. And he's not going to be soft with it or sugarcoat it anymore. I like the fact that he's like, hey, man, like, we just had to have direct conversation. And the thing that was the best to me about all that, because when I asked him about that direct conversation and, hey, how are you gonna make sure that it's not personal? And one of the things that he said was, if they're taking it personal, I don't know what to tell them, because I'm challenging them, right? It's not anything like a dig at their, manhood or anything like that. He's just challenging them to elevate their play. And I think that's what you want your leaders to do.
Teron Davenport has been our guest on D. Mace, Ving, and Adonik. He joins us every Monday at 3:40, and he is presented by Bart Durham Injury Law and fueled by Parman Energy. TD, great stuff as always, my friend. We'll catch up next week.
All right, for sure. Appreciate it.
615-737-1025. We've got a lot of reaction, so we will get to all of it coming up next. 615-737-1025 if you want in on it. But I did tell you that we have a couple of giveaways today. So here's the first. If you want a pair of tickets to see Belmont women's basketball take on Lipscomb at the Curb Event Center this Wednesday, be caller number 2 at 615-737-1025. Once again, a pair of tickets to see Belmont women's basketball take on Lipscomb at the Curb Event Center this Wednesday. Tip-off is at 5 p.m. Be caller number 2, 615-737-1025. Let me tell all of you Predators fans out there that now that the team is back from Sweden, Smashville Live returns Wednesday night at Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue at 6 o'clock. See your Predators star players up close and personal and get autographs and pictures, player guests, TBD. But that's this Wednesday night at Brewhouse 100 in Bellevue and only on 102.5 The Game.
Derek Mason here. If you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. Look, they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you, so they will help you get it all repaired or better yet replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Houston. You can find them in Nashville, located at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. A programming note. Normally on Mondays at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. We have 4 o'clock.
Yes.
I always get tongue-tied on that. 4 o'clock will move to tomorrow. So Vanderbilt head football coach Clark Lee will join us tomorrow at 4 o'clock. The Commodores had the weekend off. We will talk about the wild weekend in college football, specifically in the SEC in this hour. But the Commodores are back in action this weekend hosting Kentucky. So we will catch up with Clark Lee tomorrow at 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock / Clark. I'm never going to stop doing
It's
that.
just part of the lingo in
Yes.
Nashville now. Everybody around town, they just know
Yes.
when it's 4 o'clock.
But
they know what you're talking about.
But I'm not. Sometimes
DVD.
sometimes
Clark
I'm not
Lee,
trying
comes on
to
DVD.
say 4 o'clock. I'm actually trying to say 4 o'clock. But it
Don't
comes
tell
out.
anybody that. Just go with it. Just
It's
go
so
with it.
ingrained in your brain.
It's a
Okay.
DVD term. That's what it is.
That's fair.
There we go, right
That's
there.
fair. Okay. It's a
Hit the
special.
bell.
It's a special feature on the DVD. Remember DVDs with special features? Kids don't know about DVDs these days. Actual
What's
DVDs.
a DVD?
Oh my God. The Titans lost yesterday. Speaking of, oh my God, the Titans lost yesterday 16-13 to the Houston Texans. No surprise there. We have a lot of reaction to get to on our text line about the loss, about Jeffrey Simmons' comments after the game. If you want in, 615-737-1025. Dylan on our text line says, at least when Cam said, we ass, he was referring to the whole team. Jeffrey only targets other people and never takes responsibility because he's a spoiled brat within the Titans organization. Robert, and Robert's not the only one.
Mhm.
Robert says, being down a bunch of receivers, is it finally time to catch the strep? Is it finally time?
They're still out there.
Hey, you just may get your wish. You just may get
It's the
your
Mason
wish.
Kinsey show now.
Yeah. He proved that he can, he caught a ball too.
He did catch a nice
Yeah, he
little
caught
wheel
nice
route
wheel
there.
route. Yeah. So hey.
So
He should have
Calvin
had the other one.
Ridley,
That would have been huge to catch
Oh,
the
it'd have been
one.
big.
He's the
Cal-
only guy within a 15-yard radius.
It was a great design route concept. Great. Got him
Calvin
wide
Ridley out for the season with a broken fibula. He suffers on his first play back from his hamstring injury. So Calvin Ridley done for the season. Chim Dike went into concussion protocol, was cleared, but then suffered a chest contusion. So we'll see what his availability is for this coming week against the Seattle Seahawks coming to Nissan Stadium.
Pretty good team.
Although Sam Darnold did throw 4 interceptions last night. Eligaya Manor left the game for a minute, came back, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, it may be time for Xavier Restrepo. I don't think it's time for Xavier Restrepo, but it's a war of attrition out there.
What did you think of the Tehran was talking about it?
Yes.
More 2 tight ends, more helm. Try to go that route rather than, bring in Restrepo. I would think I would go more towards that and try to use my tight ends more.
Yeah. I mean, it would help, I guess, from a blocking standpoint too. You can put that extra man on the line of scrimmage. Maybe it could work if you want the ball out of Cam's hands a lot faster, then you incorporate the tight ends a lot more on those short routes and over the middle. So I can see them moving more toward that, but they're going to need another wide receiver or two if these other guys can't. I know Ridley's gone, but if these other guys are banged up throughout the week, they're going to have to activate at least one more receiver.
Wes and Hermitage says, DVD except when Willie isn't there. Then y'all just have VD, sadly. I have mentioned this multiple times.
Okay.
David is a D.
Yes.
So when Willie isn't here, it's still DVD.
Slide in an extra D.
Exactly.
Yes. Phrasing, Willie.
Phrasing. As we've learned on the show.
Y'all are
It's
really
important.
bad at not phrasing your words correctly with the DVD.
Lest we forget Lustily Boobs. A classic on DVD.
DVD classic.
Yes, let's go to Mike on our phone line. Mike, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hi guys, how you doing today?
Good, thank you.
Doing good, Mike.
Well, saw the game, and once again, predictable. But I kind of want to say it's time to fish or cut bait here. We've got a bunch of secondary guys sitting on the bench, and I don't want to throw off the veterans and the first teamers, but we are officially out. We are officially out of the season. Whatever scenario you come up with, we can't even get a wild card this year. So what I'm saying is, if we're finding guys, younger guys, that can do a pretty good job, why don't we start using them at least for a couple of quarters for the rest of the year, and use them as sort of a spring training, summer camp type thing for the rest of this year?
Is there somebody you have in mind when you ask that? Because I sort of ask myself that question each week.
And aren't there players
because I think there are a few.
Kevin Winston or Jalen Armour Davis.
Yeah, those guys, they have no choice. Those
Right.
guys are going to play,
Right.
and what you're hoping is they get a little bit better each week. I think Cedric Gray's and Cody Barton are two good stories that are developing out of this group. I'm hoping one of the corners, just by being out there every week and getting
It
picked
doesn't
on every
look
week,
like it.
hopefully makes some progress. I don't know. It hasn't happened yet. I like how Helm is coming along. I would love to see Spears go to another level. He teases you. He'll make a good play, but there's still not that big game that would have you going, okay, I want to keep this guy around for a while. It's the same thing every week. It
So
teases you.
Mike, did you have a player or players in mind when you said that?
When I say player, you guys are ones of the players. I'm the guy that's like the strategist or the big picture thing, where you put a guy up, I don't know his name. You guys are the experts at that. If he's doing a percentage-wise that you think above 50%, I say start playing him at least a little bit for the rest of the season. Let him grow. Let him grow in that position for the rest of the season so we know what he does next season. And then when we get our number one pick, which I hope we do and not blow it, then we can trade that number one pick for a bunch of draft picks and then trading picks that can improve all of this to help Cam Ward on the offensive line. And now that we lost Ridley, the best receiver, I don't know if he can come back from a bad break like that in his fibula, and we're going to have a running back.
It's a long list.
And we're going to have a new coach. We're going to have a new coach. Are we going to fire the whole staff? I think so. We need to. What we need to do is let these second stringers play this year, get experience in real-time games this year, so that we know what they can do next year.
Thank you for the call, Mike. I'm just looking at the snap count on defense from yesterday. And as Willie said, you've got to just throw out whoever you've got when you consider all of the injuries on defense.
It's not a matter of whether they're going to play. They're going to play.
Right. But I'm and I don't know.
If you have a pulse and they think you have a chance to get to the quarterback, you're in there, man.
Yeah.
So if they thought Adam Vinga could give them a good edge rush,
oh boy,
sign him up.
That's a very scary thought. But I don't know how old all of these players are. But for example, Kevin Winston played 100% of the defensive snaps yesterday, as did Cedric Gray, as did Darrell Baker Jr. Arden Keith's not a young player. I know that. Jalen Armour Davis played 37 snaps yesterday. Samuel Womack played 31 snaps. Tavondre Sweat played 28 snaps. Marcus Harris played 50 snaps. So I understand Mike's point. I think it's kind of already happening because of the injuries and trades that the Titans have made.
They still have 7 games.
Yikes.
I mean, there will be some more attrition that will open up more chance. So to me, it's a non-issue. They're gonna have evaluations on these guys.
They have 11 rookies and 13 players, and this is minus the rookies, but 13 players with 3 or less years experience, not counting the rookies. The rookies are already, so half of their roster makes up of guys with 3 years. Almost half of their roster makes up of guys with 3 years or less. I understand what the caller's saying. You want to start possibly playing some of these younger players, and they're trying to. And some of it is because of injury, but they're trying to play some of these young players, and they're it's trial by error with them. You saw it in the secondary yesterday, and you've seen it in previous weeks. That this young secondary they lack experience. they're not nowhere near refined as a player, and they're taking their lumps, and they're taking some big ones. So behind them, it's like you really don't have nobody. So you are playing your young guys. Even if you didn't want to play them, you got to play them now. And I think the Titans have been doing that, but you just can't throw a young guy out there for the sake of throwing a young guy out there. He has to show you the ability to sort of learn this stuff, but not only learn it, but then be able to go out and when the game really picks up and be able to go out there and just do without thinking. And a lot of times with these young, it just doesn't happen that way.
One texter says, what alternate universe timeline are we living in where both the Titans and Predators fans are both saying the season is over, just play the young guys? And we will get to the Predators later in the hour. One texter says, more Chestnut and Spears and less or no Pollard.
Pollard's not the problem. He's not. I think Pollard runs hard.
Didn't have much of a running game yesterday.
Yeah, they didn't have it. Cam led the.
That's a good defense.
Yeah,
though.
Cam
but
led
let's
the
say that the Texans'
team.
problems
that run
are on
defense,
offense.
yeah.
That's a
Cam
good
led
defense.
led the team with 33 yards. Good for Cam. That's not really good for the offense, but good for Cam that he decided to run. But nah, I would like to see Spears, like Willie said, he teases us with these things, and you see it. But then it's like, man, you want more. And for some reason, you're just not getting more. I like Chestnut too. So, but I'm not going to go away from Pollard because, he's a solid pro and he's a strong runner.
That's an upgrade area that would be one of the things that if you could get the bonanza of draft picks that you clearly have the opportunity to do this year if you're picking high, especially if you're picking number one, which I don't know. I mean, they play the Browns. They play the Saints. It's not the tankathon is going to be interesting going forward. And again, we're not saying you go out there and try to lose, but they have such a the guy spent 5 minutes calling, hey, they need this and they need this. It's like he was making his Santa list early on. They've got a lot of needs on the roster, so they need a lot of picks. But running back for sure, like they need an electrifying something to go that Cam Ward could use.
I've fired up tankathon.com. Let's take a look.
It took till 4:13 to do it. I'm surprised.
Tennessee at number 1, the Giants at number 2 at 2-9, Cleveland at number 3, New Orleans at number 4, and the Jets at number 5, all at 2-8. So that's your projected top 5, according to tankathon.com. We have 2 Marks on our phone line. Let's play Mark Roulette here. Which Mark are we going to get? Thank you for calling. Whenever Mark picks up, please go ahead. Mark, are you there?
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Yes. Wanted to talk about the Titans offensive line.
Sure.
As bad as they've been, and this is just a I guess a question I'm throwing out to you, but in the last couple of years we've signed Cushenberry and we've signed Moore, and at the time we signed them, they were the top available free agent center and left tackle. Based on the output we're getting from the money spent in the future, does it not make sense to, I guess I'm asking, what is the difference between somebody making the minimum veteran salary up against what we've paid out to these 2 players that's hurting our cap now, that wouldn't we just get the same result?
Thank you for the call, Mark.
I understand what he's saying. Yeah, it's okay. You're overpaying for this guy. And you're not getting your bang for your buck. But if you go out here and say get a rookie or get you a veteran that is not going to cost you as much, wouldn't it almost be better to do that? Because you expect the guy that's making what Cushenberry and Moore is making. You expect really more. You expect him to be playing a lot better. He's playing, like the caller is suggesting, he's playing like he's one of the lowest paid left tackles in a game. So if that's the case, then why don't we just go pay a veteran guy, league minimum, and kind of go that route? I mean, they tried that before too. It didn't work out.
That was the Dillard, right? That was sort of the approach with Dillard.
Exactly.
Like, hey, he's a former first-round pick.
Mhm.
He's cheap.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get a new scenery. We'll get more out of him, and we saw how it worked.
Didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work.
So it doesn't always work.
A word to the wise: anytime, and not just in football, anytime anyone tries to sell you on an acquisition by saying that player was a former first-round pick, alarm bells should be ringing, because usually it feels like
Right.
it doesn't always work.
Oftentimes you are who you are after 4 years, whatever. We see it in hockey, right?
Yes.
But there's always that label of, hey, he was a first-round pick. So those guys always get the second chance.
Of course.
Right? They're going to get the second chance.
It's almost like, because at the time it's like, okay, who else we're going to get? It's like, okay, I need it. It's like being in a store. Well, it costs, $900 to fix your engine. I know it don't cost that much. It costs much more, but I'm just saying $900 to fix your engine. I'm the only person that got this engine. There's no other good engines. And you're like, man, that's too much. All right, I need the engine. I got to go put it in. Let's go. That's how the Titans were. Like, he's the best available left tackle on the market. Yeah, we're going to have to pay for him. Okay, let's do it.
Have something.
Yeah, let's do it and see how it works.
Quickly, let's go to the other Mark, our friend Mark in Nashville on our phone line. Mark, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Boy, number one caller just can't get no respect.
Number one caller, number two Mark today.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, Mark.
David totally
for your
pushed
patience.
you, man.
Thank you for your patience and your high esteem that we regard you.
You know what, Dave? You know what, Mark? We knew you needed like that last word of the segment. We knew you needed it.
You're our closer.
Exactly.
You're our closer.
So let's do it. Get to it, Mark. Let's go.
Well, give me that bag then if I'm that close. I need that bag then. I definitely do. What's up, Adam, D. Mace, Willie? I don't want y'all thinking I'm not speaking to you today, but hey, man, the Titans just got a lot of need. Oh, by the way, D. Mace, congratulations on Mark Andrews breaking your record.
Hey,
at
that's good for him.
You're receiving good. Are you going to call him and tell him?
I sent him a message.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I sent him a message.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. That's well done, D. Mace. Well done. But hey, man, the Titans, just like I said earlier this morning on Joe and Robbie's show, D. Mace, Willie Adams, they should have been trading these picks back years ago. Skoronsky trade back. Latham trade back. They want to see Cam come here. I really didn't, man, because they could have took that pick and they could have got a haul for it. And right now, you wouldn't be talking about them being the worst team in the NFL. You'd have some playmakers, some players, maybe some offensive line help, running back. Whatever needs y'all needed, you could have had them if you did that. I hope they do that in this year's draft. Trade back and get a multitude of picks because, man, they're going to have to do something. You can't go out here and become a better team with free agency and all that. Cristopo, whatever his name, play the man, D. Mace. Let the guy come in and see what he can do. He's the all-time leading receiver down there in yards and catches in Miami. He must did something right. Get a man a chance. Bring him off the practice squad. Sign him and let him play the rest of the season. See what you got with him. You can't see what you got with him if you're not going to play him. But hey, Willie, I wanted to ask you a question. Did you get a chance to talk to Juan Soto up in New York?
Unfortunately, Juan's time was a little too precious, and my voice was a little off still, just recovering, New York. So I let Juan have his time when I was up there.
Oh, okay. Well, did you get my yellow canary jacket and get it ready to hang it up in the rafters of Madison Square Garden, Willie?
No, I was only there for a day, Mark. Like it wasn't a week-long trip.
Okay.
Next time we'll go back up there. We'll spend a little longer. Let's work on this, okay? Because
I'll send you a little money to help you out with the money and stuff. We'll get that taken care of.
So we have a budget. This is good.
Oh yeah, we'll make it right. Hey, Adam.
Yes, Mark.
I hadn't been hearing you talk about Duke lately. You know they lost Saturday, but you know they were in the running.
The football team, the football team lost.
Yeah. So Adam is not interested in the football
he doesn't
team.
care about the football team.
He thought you were talking about like his eyes perked up like, Duke basketball? Are you talking about Duke basketball?
Champions Classic, Champions Classic tomorrow, 8:00, Duke, Kansas, Madison Square Garden. My father, Harlan Vingan, will be there. He's already in New York City. So yes,
that's all right. And you know what, Adam? I'm waiting to see them lose. We ain't talking about the Boozer brothers now. I know what you're talking about. We're not gonna get on the Boozer brothers, even though they're playing good. But Duke will make a run. They got a great squad. The Boozer brothers, one of them at least look like he's gonna be a lottery pick too. So, and I've seen his dad at all the games, but I'll be watching that game tomorrow and stuff.
You can also
But,
watch
hey,
D
man,
Mace's Spartans before that play Kentucky.
Absolutely.
yes.
We're gonna run through
yeah,
Kentucky.
yeah. Oh
That's
yeah,
right.
we're gonna watch. Yeah, we're gonna watch all of that. But now that I know I'm the closer, y'all give this number one caller some respect. Put some respect on my name.
Thank you for
Thank you,
calling, Mark.
Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Hey, while we're giving shout outs, I'm here to tell you the Vanderbilt's basketball team is looking good. You're not going to know. They don't have a lot of, huge featured non-conference games. I'm liking what I see, though. I'm confident they are better than they were last year.
Okay.
615-737-1025. We'll take a Titans breather here. Let's talk about the wild weekend in the SEC. And it was not a great weekend if you're a Vanderbilt fan. Willie can attest to that. But we will discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are brought to you by Bax Homeworks, which transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Get a free estimate at baxhomeworks.com. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. The Vanderbilt Commodores did not play this past weekend. The Commodores returned to action Saturday against Kentucky. Clark Lee will join us tomorrow. But it wasn't a good weekend in college football if you are a Vanderbilt fan. Oklahoma upsetting Alabama. Bad. Texas getting crushed by Georgia. Kind of bad. Good that Texas has a third loss. Bad because now Vanderbilt lost to Texas, and now Texas gets crushed by Georgia. So I don't know how you square that. We can ask our resident Commodores fan, Willie Donick. But Oklahoma beating Alabama 23-21. By the way, Oklahoma's past 2 wins at Tennessee, at Alabama.
Impressive.
Incredibly impressive. Oklahoma's remaining schedule, home against Missouri, home against LSU. So not going to say that you can lock in Oklahoma, but it's looking pretty good for the Sooners. But that result, Vanderbilt desperately needed Alabama to take out Oklahoma, and that did not happen. So,
and it seems to go further than that. Like I was really hoping that on a weekend where you don't play, you get some help. And I was reading Stuart Mandel's recap of the weekend in The Athletic, and he was going through all that SEC stuff. He never even got to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt wasn't even in the discussion. I was disappointed to hear that. I still think you can only do what you can do if you're Vanderbilt, and that's win Saturday and then win the following Saturday, and then wherever the chips fall, they're going to fall. It would be a really disappointing thing. Can you imagine telling any SEC team, forget about Vanderbilt, with the schedule you had before the season started, say you go 10-2 with this schedule, and you're not going to make the playoff? That is hard to believe.
Yeah.
That's hard to believe that could happen. And it very well could happen. I still think there could be some curveballs thrown, but nothing is significant at all unless you win the 2 games. So you can't just cry now before you've won the games. You got to win the games.
Yeah, you got to win the games first. And that's sort of what, maybe that's why Vandy fans really don't want to go in, because right now, if you've watched this team, I think they are deserving of being one of the 12 playoff teams. But that's not the case. And you just look at the remainder of the schedule. It's like, man, I want to scream and yell, but what happens if they go to Kentucky and just have one of those games? Now that just puts them out of, so the argument is completely over. It's almost like, let's wait to the UT game. And if they win that game, then we can scream and yell and talk about how the system isn't, fair for teams like Vandy and, whatever the case may be. But, it's just, I think Texas is out of it. I can't, the way they got beat this past week, I can't, even though they are an 8-3 team and they beat Vanderbilt, the way they lost, I can't square that one up with saying, okay, even though they got beat down, I still think they deserve whatever it is in 3, they make it.
Well,
8, 9, and 3.
Here's the kicker. And we'll get to what Texas A&M did this weekend. Texas plays Texas A&M in the season finale. So there was a lot of talk about, hey, could a 9-3 Texas team make the playoff? They failed the test at Georgia, but they're hosting Texas A&M to end the season. Texas A&M is one hell of a team. And
Texas A&M also in that game may not have to win to make the playoff. So the desperate team could be Texas. Here would be an interesting hypothetical. Texas, let's just say, is 9-3 with a win over Texas A&M. Got thrashed by Georgia.
Lost to Ohio State.
Had the guts to play Ohio State, right? And had a dud loss at Florida where they got beat bad. 9-3 Texas, 10-2 Vanderbilt. Texas having beaten Vanderbilt at Texas. That would be an interesting debate, but I don't know. There's other things that would have to fall into place for that to come up.
Well, let me ask you this question, and a lot's going to change over the next couple of weeks. But at this moment in time, how many of these SEC teams would you consider locks or close to locks for the college football playoff? Texas A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma.
I wouldn't say Alabama's a lock. Because here's the problem for Alabama and them losing that game. They got to play an Auburn team who, hey, you and is in Auburn. You end up the season at 9-7. Now Vandy has a case, because if Vandy wins the remainder of their games, they can say we beat Auburn. Y'all lost to Auburn. I know y'all beat us, but if you look at that game, it would be even more chaos. So I'm not saying that Alabama is a lock. I don't think Alabama is a lock. It all depends on, to me, how they look if they lose that game. Right. How they look in losing to Auburn.
There's still some holding serve. Yeah. I don't know what the line would be on that game, but we also know that Auburn would do anything to spoil Alabama's season. They'll put everything. Alabama is the better team of the two, but that's a good what if. What if? So when you say a lock, that means you could lose and still get in. So they're not a lock. They've got to win the Iron Bowl.
Let's talk about what Texas A&M did this weekend. I was shocked when I looked at my phone and saw the halftime score. South Carolina 30, Texas A&M 3. Oh my goodness, that would have thrown a wrench into the college football playoff. But Texas A&M rallied from 30-3 down at halftime. Marcel Reed, local product, 439 passing yards. Before Saturday, teams were 0 for 286 since 2004 in SEC play, when down by 27 plus points.
I don't think that would have thrown a monkey wrench in.
You don't think so?
No, because you're losing to a team that has no shot at making anything. And if you still end up with one loss, you're making, even if you lose to Texas, you're still in, depending on how that.
I don't know if I'd want to go there.
No, I'm just saying.
But I was going to say, I thought you were going to say if they lost that's your screw up. You turn around and beat Texas. Yeah. If you turn around and beat Texas, that probably makes up for it. But I think it illustrates when people want to bang on the schedule. You haven't beaten a ranked team or this team or that, or this team was ranked and they're not ranked anymore. South Carolina, despite all of their struggles, was good enough to go up 30-3.
And that would have helped Vanderbilt. If South Carolina would have beaten Texas A&M, wouldn't that have helped Vanderbilt?
I guess. But it also would have brought Texas A&M back into this pack of teams that Vanderbilt's trying to get through. So it's a mixed bag. But I think it just shows you that, like, South Carolina's got talent. Auburn has talent. The worst teams in the league, I think, are better than that last 6 to 8 teams in every other league, is my thought on it. LSU the same way. Like, beating LSU is a good win, despite all the troubles of LSU. And LSU at the time, I do think there is a nuanced argument. I get that they've fallen off and their record is what it is. But Vanderbilt's win against LSU, where LSU was number 10 in the country, is a really good win, even though now it's a win, quote, against, well, they're not ranked. They're not ranked. You haven't been any ranked teams.
Quickly, I want to get Willie's thoughts on something that Derek and I talked about last week. Derek got fired up about brand bias, specifically Notre Dame versus Vanderbilt. Willie, I can only imagine where you stand on this hot button issue.
It's a thing. I don't think there's any doubt. I think it happens in college basketball as well. I hope that in this time where you have more data to analyze and you have supposedly another wave to try to get away from that, and it's not just, well, so-and-so has one loss, you have 2 losses. Let's go with the 1-loss team. And especially if 2 losses and you are the brand name versus 1 loss, you're not the brand name. I do think the brand bias is hard to weed out. There's always an assumption that Notre Dame is just better than Vanderbilt, that Notre Dame is better than Indiana, that Oregon is better than Indiana just because of the brand. I do think that it's imprinted in your mind just because that's how college football was for decades. They have to try their best to balance that out.
615-737-1025 will take your thoughts on the wild weekend in college football. The latest CFP rankings come out tomorrow. We'll see what happens. We'll see where the Commodores are after not playing over the weekend. But coming up next, Willie's back, which means the Predators are also back. And there's something that a lot of Predators fans are wondering about now that the team is home. And we will discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
Hey, this is Derek Mason. You heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a goal to shed some extra pounds, only to face disappointment. But I got some news, and it's good, because at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss. Their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. That's Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
Andrew, after the emotional win on Friday night, you knew they would push back. How disappointing was it that your team wasn't able to match that early today?
Yeah, it was disappointing. I think the traction that we gained, we just let slip away again. Especially the first period. I thought all the things that we talked about that we did on Friday, we did not do, and we knew they'd have a bigger sense of urgency, and the puck meant more to them than us that period. And it's a tough way to start a game, let alone give up 3 early. So yeah, disappointing.
That was Predators coach Andrew Burnett yesterday. After
Was
the
it
Predator,
yesterday?
I mean,
It's
you're
a
the
long-
one that just
yesterday
traveled
was a really long
thousands
day.
of miles.
I guess
Yeah,
it was
well,
yesterday. Yes.
You're the person that has
Yeah.
lost track
Right.
of time.
Yeah.
Right. So if you think it wasn't yesterday, then who
It
are
was
we to
yesterday.
judge?
It
It
was
was yesterday. It was indeed yesterday.
It was actually like this time yesterday in Sweden, which was I don't know.
Willie's still getting his bearings, but that was Andrew Burnett yesterday after the Predators lost 4-0 to the Pittsburgh Penguins to wrap up the NHL Global Series in Stockholm, Sweden. The Predators had a come-from-behind win, an exciting come-from-behind win on Friday. Philip Forsberg ties the game late in regulation. Steven Stamkos scores in 3-on-3 overtime, but the Predators were unable to build off of that. They slept walk through the first period, and that's really all the Penguins needed. They held on for a 4-0 win. And now that the Predators are home, and now that the Predators do not play until Saturday, and now that the Predators have lost 9 of 11, a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen with Andrew Burnett. And Elliot Freeman, our friend Elliot Freeman, who joins us every Thursday, he discussed Andrew Burnett on the latest edition of the 32 Thoughts podcast, which dropped this morning. And Elliot made a couple of points. The first was, he said that when he's watching a team that's struggling, a team that everybody thinks is going to make a coaching change, he asks himself this question: are the players playing hard? And Elliot thinks the Predators players are playing hard. In his estimation, and Willie, you were there, so you can agree, I assume you will, that if the Predators weren't playing hard for Andrew Burnett, they wouldn't have won the game on Friday. They wouldn't have come back the way they did late in that game and won that game if they weren't playing hard for Andrew Burnett. And I, from afar, but I've been around plenty of teams, I don't get the sense that this team has quit on Andrew Burnett. I just don't think the team is very good. I'm not worried about this team tuning him out. I don't get that vibe. I don't think Willie does either. The other thing that Elliot Freeman brought up was Bill Haslam. And he said that the new owner of the Predators doesn't want to make any rash decisions. He wants to make sure he has all of the information before coming to a conclusion. So, based on what Elliot said this morning on his podcast, I'm not going to completely rule it out. But if I had to guess, I would guess that Andrew Burnett will be coaching this team on Saturday. But I know a lot of Predators fans, Willie, are wondering, after the losing is continuing, the losses are piling up, the team is off for 5 days. Again, they don't play until Saturday. This would be, in theory, a perfect time to make a coaching change. But if I had to guess right now, I don't think it's going to happen, at least right now.
It's been, to try to give you a little perspective, it's been such a whirlwind for the last month, pretty much. 12 games in 20 nights. And right after the minute the 12th game is over on the 29th, you're going cross oceans to go play in Sweden. So there's been a lot happening. There's been constant motion. There hasn't been time to even breathe, although in Stockholm was a good little reset for a day or two because you didn't have to play right away. But I see what everybody's looking at, right? You now have a break in the schedule. You've played about a quarter of the games, so you have an evaluation of what you have, and you can assess, how are they doing? I agree with the assessment. For the most part, they've played hard. They're not quitting on Andrew Burnett, but they're not playing well. They're just not playing well consistently enough. They deserve to win the first game. They easily could have won that game 3 or 4-1. I think they were that much better than the Penguins in the first game. And you're sitting there going, are they going to lose this game 1-0? Because that's what it looked like it might be, even though they badly outplayed the Penguins. They pulled it out. They get a great lift, and then they come back and play very poorly right out of the gate in the first 10 minutes. And that was, you could hear the disappointment in Andrew Burnett to have that happen. And the Penguins are not a great loaded team, right? It'd be one thing if the Penguins were the Penguins of 10 years ago, just like the Predators aren't the Stanley Cup. These two teams are in different spots right now. But that was very disappointing to come back after a big win that you needed really bad and then lose the game in the first 10 minutes. And there were a couple of really fluky plays. There was one, Evgeny Malkin scored. I mean, I want to know what, his lucky rabbit's foot or whatever. He scored 2 goals from behind the goal line that banked off of Predators and went in. Maybe he's that good, but that didn't help. But the Penguins were all over the Predators in the first 10 minutes. Nashville lost the game right there. And then they haven't been this type of team all year, explosive enough to crawl out of a hole like that. So what do you do? I don't know. I do think you have a couple of days to sort of sit back. Today should be sort of a hit the reset button, get away from it, maybe come in tomorrow and decide which direction do you want to go. Because with each passing loss, you now have to win
X amount of games.
You got to win a lot of games to get back into the playoff race. You've got all these young kids in Milwaukee. You do have some players who are in the last year of a contract that are probably movable, but you have to ask, are the kids in Milwaukee ready to be thrown in there? So these are all the things that I think you have to be calculated about. But I agree that it's a quarter of the season in the books. You've got a few days. It is time to have a little bit. And I would say this, even if they were, 11-9 or whatever the record might be, you assess after a quarter of a season, especially when you've gone through this whirlwind playing without Roman Josi, who they miss terribly. They're not making plays.
Mm-hmm.
They just struggle to make plays on a consistent basis. Roman Josi makes plays. So they've been able to stay in games, close games, but they're lacking playmakers to win the close games. And they also aren't quite good enough at the stickler for detail that you have to have if you're a little low on playmakers, right? You can battle your way if your team is locked down and I'm not giving you anything easy, even though we might struggle to score. Right now, they're lacking in both of those areas, and you see where the record is.
And Derek and I talked about this last week. Making a coaching change isn't going to solve all of the issues that are plaguing this team. There are more deeply rooted issues than who's coaching the team. But since the start of last season, the Predators have the second worst points percentage in the NHL at .412. The only team with a worse points percentage, the San Jose Sharks, a team that is actively rebuilding. The Predators have won 36 of their past 102 games since the start of last season. And Willie, this is the point that I made with Derek last week. As I just said, changing the coach isn't going to solve a lot of the issues. Maybe they get that coach bump I've talked about a lot. Maybe they play a little bit better. But they're not going to transform into a competitor by making a coaching change. But, the one thing that Elliot Friedman did say on the 32 Thoughts podcast about the Predators is, what's the one thing we all know can spur an owner into action? Losing money. If Bridgestone Arena looks a bit emptier, if tickets aren't being sold, if merchandise isn't being sold, if people are voting with their wallets, I believe is the term, then that may change Haslam's mind to be more patient with Barry Trotz and then by extension, Andrew Brunette. But I just think it's a crisis of consumer confidence. I believe that's the term, Derek, that Elliot used on our show last week. It's a crisis of consumer confidence. Predators fans see a team standing behind a coach who has won 36 of his past 102 games, and they're wondering, what's going on here? Predators fans see this as part of a larger issue about the direction of the franchise. And I stand by this. Maybe, you guys can tell me if I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs here. If I firmly believe this, if Andrew Burnett's boss was anybody other than Barry Trotz, he would have been fired by now. I think that Trotz's history as a coach is helping Brunette keep his job right now. I just think it's a crisis of consumer confidence, and Predators fans want to know that the organization is trying to improve and not firing a coach who has struggled mightily. And it's not all of his fault. I understand that, but not firing a coach that has struggled mightily over the past season and the quarter gives off the vibe that the organization isn't committed to improving.
Well, I think they are. I think the problem is, and Elliott said it, this team continues to play and they continue to go out there and give it their all. They're not a good team. They have a hard time winning the close games. They're just not a good team right now. But if you feel the players, especially the veteran players, are still fighting and clawing and going out there and doing the things that you're asking them to do, then that may give the GM a pause. Like, okay, I can see if he had lost the locker room, then hey, we got to move on, because that's sort of the end of the line. When you lose that's the end of the line. We have to fire you, regardless if I like you or not. I don't think that has happened. So it makes that dilemma a little bit harder. And Yossi's not there. So it's like, do I wait and see if there's any improvement? Should I wait for, Yossi to come back? How do I proceed in all this? But all the while, the fan base is thinking, this is getting worse and worse.
They play Colorado on Saturday, who is playing lights out. They play the two-time defending champion on Monday, Florida. So, and that starts a stretch of 5 games in 8 days through the week of Thanksgiving. So they're going to jump right back on the ride, and it's going to be a lot of hockey. I don't know if Yossi is in the picture for any of these next 5. It's not. I'm not sure. I mean, there's probably going to be some sort of reevaluation of these next few days to see just how close he may or may not be. So I do think it's your regular time to evaluate where you would be. This was a logical one. So I'm not sure what the answer is, to be honest with you. The question would be, what are you trying to get out of this season? Do you, because Barry Trotz has said all along, I'm hoping to thread the needle of keeping these 30-somethings, Marchessault, Stamkos, Yossi, Forsberg, those guys productive, while all along developing the next core. Right now, I think you're seeing the space. The veterans are not producing. Philip Forsberg's having a pretty good year. Yossi's not playing. Stamkos, Marchessault struggling, fair to say. Brady Shea struggling, not carrying the load. Ryan O'Reilly still very good, but not a guy that's going to put the team on his back. So you have flaws in the roster. And at the same time, other than Matt Wood, you have this young group of guys who are anywhere between 18 and 20, 21, sometimes 22, that aren't elevating from the bottom. So right now you're 0 for 2 in what you hope was going to happen, right? You get a big lift, you get some juice from the young legs, and you get some cagey veterans that are still playing. So what's your goal? Do you think another coach could get way more out of both? I don't know. Or do you just ride it out and say, you know what? We thought it was going to work. We have to play the long game now and wait another year for the kids and go from there. I don't know.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on the Predators, who are back in Nashville. They are off until Saturday. A nice week-long break, or 5-day break after all of that travel to and from Sweden. 615-737-1025. I mentioned we have 2 giveaways. I've already done one, so we're going to do another. If you want a 4-pack of tickets, I think this is a pretty good one. If you want a 4-pack of tickets to see AEW next Wednesday at the Pinnacle downtown, Dynamite and Collision, AEW Dynamite and Collision the day before Thanksgiving, Wednesday, November 26th, be caller number 3. Right now at 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win a 4-pack of tickets to see AEW Dynamite and Collision, 2 shows in 1, at the Pinnacle on Wednesday, November 26th. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Titans lose 16-13 to the Houston Texans yesterday. It's good news if you want the Titans to have the number 1 overall pick because they're still in the driver's seat. I do want to celebrate one thing about the Titans game yesterday, if I may. The streak is over. If you recall, during the broadcast a couple of weeks ago, when the Titans played the Chargers, CBS showed a graphic. Most consecutive games with fewer touchdowns than opponent. And the Tennessee Titans were on that graphic right behind a team called the Dayton Triangles, which I thought was a completely made-up thing. But guess what? Yesterday, the Titans had 1 touchdown and the Texans had 1 touchdown. So it's over. Congratulations, Titans. You are not in Dayton Triangles territory.
How close is the Dayton Triangle to the Bermuda Triangle?
Well, if one's in Ohio and one's in the Caribbean, pretty far.
The creators of the Bermuda Triangle, did they go to Dayton at some point before or after and say, we're going to try this triangle thing?
Does it actually work?
I don't know.
Things really go on in a triangle. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
It can't be easy to get from Dayton to the Caribbean, but I digress.
A few flights.
A few. But congratulations to the Titans. The streak is over. You did not overtake the Dayton Triangles for most consecutive games with fewer touchdowns than opponent. Because
how many more games did they need? It was like what?
I think they were. 100? I think after the Chargers game, the Titans were at 15 and the Triangles were at 17.
Oh man, they were damn.
So what was it with?
Yes, within striking.
I mean, the best part about that graphic was the Dayton Triangle streak ended when the franchise folded. That was the best part of the graphic.
So who knows who knows how high it could have gone.
It could still be going. We don't know.
So at least there's that. Cam Ward, 24 of 37 for 194 yards and a touchdown. He also had 3 carries for 33 yards. So that's something. But a big conversation after the game, once again, is on Cam Ward's inaccuracy. Derek, you mentioned these plays. There were 2 plays to Mason Kinsey that stood out to me. He missed a wide open Kinsey on 1st and 10 at the Houston 36 early in the 3rd quarter. He also was incomplete to Kinsey on 2nd and 10 from the Tennessee 17 late in the 4th quarter. So the conversation about Cam Ward's accuracy, it continues to build every week. And I think a question a lot of Titans fans have is, how can you coach inaccuracy out of a quarterback? We mentioned earlier in the show that Cam Ward's time to throw yesterday was the fastest of his rookie season. So I guess that's one way, right, to coach inaccuracy out of a quarterback. Make him throw the ball quickly, take the easy throws. But with missed passes to Kinsey like you saw yesterday, there are other examples throughout the season. I can't recall all of them off the top of my head. But the inaccuracy continues to be something that Titans fans bring up about Cam Ward each and every week.
Yeah, and I understand why he has been the season hasn't gone the way I believe Titan fans thought it would go. They thought he would have a rookie season, but not to the effects of this. I just look at it can be coached, meaning accuracy or completions, and because that's what it ultimately is. We're trying to get our completion rate up, and those balls, you got to understand too. There are 2 plays that I think, and I've said this when they happened in previous weeks. That deep corner route, for some reason, he has a hard, that's the route that he should really work on that route. And the slant from his right to left, throwing that slant from his right to left, he needs to really work on that this offseason, because that's where he has missed, either behind or missed deep, and the angle just isn't quite there. But I think that can be coached, because I look at someone like Josh Allen. Josh Allen started out at 52% in his first year, and now he's at damn near 70%. completion. And now he's figured out all these angles of where to throw the ball. And the route combination is a lot different, intermediate. And now he builds up his rhythm in his completion. Then he's able to hit those balls in rhythm. And, he's had time to throw to these young guys that he have now. So can it be coached out? Yes, I think it can be. I think it's going to start first with how they want to run this offense. And he needs to get more and more reps because he's gotten better throwing the ball to DK, I believe. He's gotten better throwing the ball to Chig, and he's gotten better throwing the ball to Gunnar Ham. It's these other guys. For some reason, he and Alec is a little bit off here and there. And then obviously Mason Kinsey, him just being, back in the lineup or in the lineup. So when it comes to Mason Kinsey, I'm not going to make too big of a deal because this is his first time throwing to this guy in a live game. So it's a little bit different. And I'm sure he didn't get a lot of the reps during the week. So now you're throwing to a guy in the game, pressure situations that you haven't had a lot of reps with. That typically doesn't work out.
So I'm looking at a chart on Pro Football Focus with Cam Ward's completion percentage by zone, let's call it. Tell me what this says to you, Derek. Deep outside left passes this season, Cam Ward is 5 for 11.
Mm-hmm.
Deep outside right passes, he's 3 for 13. Intermediate outside right passes, he's 9 for 23. Intermediate outside left passes, he's 6 for 16. Between the numbers, intermediate, he is 14 for 36. Between the numbers, deep,
14 for 36?
Yes, between the numbers, intermediate, 14 for 36. Mm-hmm. Between the numbers, deep, 4 for 9.
I think there are a lot of throws that continue each week consistently where the play ends, it's an incomplete pass, and you're saying, was that catchable? And I think in a lot of cases, you're like, yeah, somebody could have snared that thing. There was one to Iomanner that I said that same thing. His timing, it was either intermediate or deep left sideline. Ward clearly has the arm strength to throw these passes, right? He can get it there. It's not right on the money, but he's got two hands. He juggles it for a second, gets 1 foot in, 1 foot out, incomplete. It's catchable. It's there. And there were probably 4 or 5 others where if he puts it right on a dime or if the guy makes a great catch, you got a chance for more replays. They have to turn more of these into successful plays. And it hasn't happened. Now, I will say, if you look at his first 5 games, second 5 games, there is an improvement in completion percentage if you're just looking at that. But I still think the key is passes that he has the physical tools to deliver, but you're not getting results. Granted, you're not throwing to great receivers. You're not. So as they improve the roster, as your main point, D. Mace, at the start of the show, was give it some time. Let them build some people around him. Right now, he is going with rookies or Van Jeffersons, right? And so you're just not going to get a lot of margin for error. So he's got to be perfect. You're not getting great pass protection, although it's getting better. So it's still a work in progress. I'm not ready to give up and say, quote, he's inaccurate. But the same thing keeps happening every week. There are 4 or 5 throws where you're like, he threw a laser. The guy, there was a window there. It didn't get caught for whatever reason.
So my math, I'm going to put my math to the test here. On passes outside the numbers to the left of at least 10 plus air yards, so intermediate and deep combined.
That would be the Iomanner one. Can we think about it, right? Where he catches it and the announcer's like, hey, he got 2 hands on it. He got 1 foot in. He juggled it. He's out of bounds.
So combined, intermediate and deep passes outside the numbers down the left sideline. He is 11 for 27 this season. Same thing outside the numbers on the right sideline. 10 plus air yards. He is 12 for 36.
So 11 for 37 and 12 for 36.
11 for 27 to the left, 12 for 36 to the right.
That's just below 50%.
Well, 12 of 36 is 1/3.
Yeah.
And 11 of 27, that's under 50% as well.
Those are the passes that he has to work in. And those are NFL passes, those deep out routes. Because I mean, in college, because these hashes are so long, it's just a different type of game. And guys that can make those deep corner routes or those deep out routes, that's what they're looking for, those deep in routes, because those are big time NFL throws. Why? Because a lot of times you got to fit them in holes because you're working against a zone coverage or you're working against tight man. So you got to put it in a place. And you see those guys that routinely make those over and over again. And a lot of that comes with experience, knowing who you're throwing to, what their catch radius is, their speed and everything else. So the more you play with an individual, the way you figure out all of this stuff, because it's really amazing how you have, let's just say, 3 guys at the receiver position, X, Y, and Z, or X, H, and Z. You got 6'5", you got 5'11", and you got 6 foot. One runs a 4.5, one runs a 4.2, the other runs a 4.4. So you got to one's quicker than the other. So you got to know when you get that ball, who you're throwing it to, and how I need to throw this ball. You got to know all this stuff, and he hasn't figured it out yet.
Will he get better in that area? You think
he will get better. He's gotten better with DK a little bit.
I think he's getting a little bit better. He's still got to get way better.
No, he has to get better at that, but I think he has gotten better since the first game of the season. But you got to understand, there's been guys in and out of the lineup, and he's not like he's a guy that's been in the league 3-4 years, so he can kind of work through that. He's a rookie. And now he's got to figure all this. Now he has to work with tempos and certain players' catch radius. He has to know all this stuff. And listen, he needs to know all this. He's the quarterback. Eventually he's going to have to know all this. Because if you don't, then you can't play the position. But right now, he's playing a position where he's restricted as a quarterback.
So the NFL tracks a stat called completion percentage above expectation. The difference between a quarterback's actual completion percentage and expected completion percentage, controlling for the level of difficulty of each pass. Yesterday, from that stat, that was Cam Ward's 3rd best performance of the season from completion percentage over expectation. For the season, Cam Ward is at minus 3.8%. He has a completion percentage of 58.4%, meaning based on the difficulties of the passes he's thrown, he should have a completion percentage of 62.2%, which is still not good. But there have been some games this season where he has been wildly inaccurate. His worst performance of the season was actually the first game against the Texans, minus 14.7% completion percentage over expectation. He's had 3 games this season at double digits. The Chargers game, minus 12.4%, and the Broncos game, minus 10.5%. So take that for what it's worth. But I do think the accuracy is something that a lot of people are going to continue to bring up. One texter says he's a rookie with an interim head coach and not a great supporting cast. One texter says it would help if he had legit NFL wide receivers to throw to. One texter says if Cam Ward played for a rival AFC South team, we would be calling him the worst quarterback in the league. People have rose-colored glasses when it comes to this quarterback. I don't think he's very good. Certainly not number 1 overall worthy. I don't even think, oh boy. I don't even think he's demonstrably better than Will Levis. Can we pause for a sec? This is my new favorite thing that's happening on the text line. I've seen it
only
on
because you're
media.
an agent of chaos.
Yes, this is a thing that I'm seeing. Maybe we owe Will Levis an apology. Maybe Will Levis wasn't so bad after all. Maybe Will Levis should have a competition against Cam Ward next year. Like, should we put the Will Levis stuff away? Can we move past the Will Levis stuff? That is not excusing Cam Ward's issues this season, but you know it's bad when people are leaping to the defense of Will Levis. That's how you know it's bad. He's gone from undesirable to undeniable Will Levis. We talked about this during the summer. Derek, people went from, what was the word? Did I say apathy to empathy? Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's like, if you want to criticize Cam Ward, go nuts. I'm not going to stop you from criticizing Cam Ward. But man, oh man, when people are bringing up Will Levis and saying, hey, Will Levis wasn't that bad after all, was he? Like, that's how you know it's bad. People are now leaping to the defense of Will Levis. We've got reaction. We'll get to it now. 615-737-1025. If you want to react to the Titans' 16-13 loss to the Houston Texans yesterday at Nissan Stadium, 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. We also are presented by Bax Homeworks. Financing options are available to make your remodel easier than you think with Bax Homeworks. Get a free estimate now at baxhomeworks.com.
All right, let's tell you about Loan Pronto. If you could pull hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash out of your home and drop your mortgage rate down, would you do it? Well, that's exactly what Loan Pronto is offering right now. They've got the lowest rates that have been going in years. So with Loan Pronto's rapid equity loan, you can get that cash from your home's equity in as little as 3 days. You can pay off high interest credit cards or whatever bills that have stacked up on you. And you can even skip your next 2 house payments. So it's going to give you some good runway, and you're going to end up with a better mortgage rate than you have right now. For example, one client just got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours, paid off debt, paid off 2 car loans, saved $2,100 a month. One call, life changed. So there's no wait. No hard credit pull up front. You can probably not even have to get the appraisal. So just fast, easy cash from your home's equity. Call right now and find out if Loan Pronto can help you. If this sounds good. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Free instant home appraisal. 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. See how much cash you can get today. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781 on approved credit. Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Does it get frustrating though, like being in so many of these fourth and short situations and not getting the opportunity to go get it?
Yeah, at times. And it really just goes back, like my mindset. If we're speaking on our record, we're 1-9. I'll go for it 4 down. We have nothing to lose. So, but it's also, the situation game we got to play. Our defense, they playing their butts off all day, so we can rely on them at any point in the game. So, Joe, he came through for us. He got us some points.
That was Cam Ward yesterday after the Titans lost 16-13 to the Texans. How do y'all feel about the ultra conservatism of Mike McCoy?
Listen, Mike, he's in a no-win situation. Damned if he do, damned if he don't. So he has a tough job. He's a lame coach, and he's an interim coach. And are you coaching to keep the job, or are you coaching to not make the team look worse than what they are? Because I'm sure if he's coaching to keep the job, you would be more aggressive. But I'm not sure. He's just trying to manage the ship right now. That's what he's trying to do, because right now, I mean, there's holes everywhere. And they're halfway to shore because the season's almost over. But man, oh man, a lot of water's getting in.
Let's go to Josh on our phone line, driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Josh, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
What's going on? What's going on? Hey, D-Mace, I got a question for you, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm old. I was born in 85. And
Man,
I'm
you
old
young.
That's not old.
Man, you young.
Hey, what are you talking about?
hey, I just turned 40, man. I'm old now.
Why don't Josh, before you go, why don't we share when Willie and Derek were born? What years were you?
Hey, I was born in 74.
Come on.
71.
See, there you go.
See?
He said,
Josh,
woo.
you're not too old, my brother.
They
I'm
old.
with you. So I'm a freeze cup guy. You remember the freeze cups? You make your Kool-Aid, you put it in the white styrofoam, put it in the freezer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm one of those people that's just old school naturally. And my question is, do you think they should sit rookie quarterbacks? Because if you look back, a lot of rookie quarterbacks didn't make it, or they not on their original team, and now they are, i.e. Baker Mayfield. What's the boy over there? Indianapolis came from New York.
Daniel Jones.
I mean, it's a number of quarterbacks who got with their original team and sucked. And once they moved on and developed and had time to actually process NFL schemes and pick up coverages and stuff like that, they excel. And so my question is you a freeze cup guy, or you one of these K-pop fizz machine, just add water, drink type of guy?
Thank you for the call, Josh.
Now
I want a freeze cup.
Yeah, the sad part about it is that no matter how much I would want to throw a freeze cup in the styrofoam and put it in the freezer, it's just not that way. Everybody wants it now, and if it ain't cold now, what them kids say? If it ain't ready when they want it ready, they move it on.
I was more of
that's just the way it is.
I was more of a Flintstones push pop guy. Do you remember that?
They were good, but I know what he's saying, because you buy that pack of Kool-Aid for 10 cents, you make a big jug of it, and you fill it with sugar, and you pour it in the styrofoam, full it in the thing. You got to do about 6 or 7 cups of a dessert right there.
Yeah,
but
the ice tray with just throw the orange juice in with the water. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Just
so
put
there's
the toothpick
different
in
ways. There's different ways you could do this, but this is always the sort of dilemma with quarterbacks. It just doesn't matter. There's those that say you should let the quarterback sit and let him, because that's how it's always been. That's the way you're probably going to get the most out of your quarterback if you allow him to sit, learn, watch, and then slowly acclimate him into the NFL game. So there's a contingent that think that way. But then the other is this owner, because I don't think too many owners think like the freeze cup guy. Owners think like, listen, he ain't ready in 2 years. You ain't got him ready. One, if you ain't got him ready in a year, you're getting fired, probably. And then 2 years, it's like, man, we may need to draft another guy. So the guys that need to be freeze cup guys are the owners and the GM. But they can't, because they know if they don't get the job done, they're gone. So it's like, I can't sit them. I got to play them right away because everybody wants to see how this new shiny toy runs. Have you ever seen a kid say, oh, that's that train set I'll be wanting? Oh, I'm going to open it later. Just put it over in the corner. I'm going to open that train set later. But that's the train set I've been wanting. It's the shiny new train set, but I'm gonna put it over there and not play with it right now. What is the first thing they do? Rip that thing open and play with it. They want to, and that's GM. They understand, and fans are the same way too. They want to see Cam Ward now, but not tomorrow.
Like he threw a lot of high end, like down the field throws. It's not like they're just throwing little screen passes or anything. But I do think the mindset has to be continue to try to make the baby steps. What can we lean on? Okay, he had a couple of good runs. Like we talked about, he went 5 weeks without a rushing yard.
He can run, Willie. I told you he can run.
Okay, at least there's something I can go on now, right?
Yes,
that
you're right.
He physically has done it. Now can he do it more? Can he find ways to escape more? That was a tough defense. He only got sacked 3 times. The protection was okay. It's been thrown around all day. He got rid of the ball quicker. These are all little things that you can hang your hat on. But I don't think you can just say, well, let's just throw caution to the wind and let's see if we can outgun team. You just have to bring them along. So it takes a while.
Here is a text from earlier in the show from Steven from Hendersonville. And he texted this in when Derek opened the show about how players can't develop in bad situations. Steven from Hendersonville says, once again, I disagree with D-Mace. Think Joe Burrow has done all right for historically bad franchise. He's been beat to hell and back, but Burrow has overcome the team's deficiencies. The Titans sucking has nothing to do with Ward's inaccuracy and fumbling issues. D-Mace is just making excuses.
He has the best receiver in the game and the second best number in the first and the best number 2 in the game. He has Jamar Chase,
who's not playing this weekend,
and T. Higgins
because he spit on someone.
He's always been with either both or one. He hasn't been without either. Because when he first came in, he had T. Higgins. They had drafted T. Higgins, who was a top receiver. And then the very next year, they went out and got Jamar Chase. Oh no, by the way, they had Mixon. Your argument has no weight here. None whatsoever. I can see, and I'm not saying that Cam doesn't need to get better. He does. But to compare him to Joe Burrow in his situation when he's been throwing to the best combination of wide receivers in the league the last couple of since he's been in the NFL, really, with the exception of the 1 year where he just had T. Higgins, but then he was throwing to the other guy who was another 1,000-yard receiver who they drafted in the second round. So again, your argument doesn't hold weight in this situation.
Joe Burrow's supporting cast in his rookie season with the Cincinnati Bengals in 2020. He had a 21-year-old T. Higgins, a 26-year-old Tyler Boyd. Remember Tyler Boyd?
Yes, and Tyler Boyd was a 1,000-yard receiver.
He had a 32-year-old A.J. Green. He had a 29-year-old Giovanni Bernard and a 24-year-old Joe Mixon.
They won one game? Or they didn't win very many games.
No, he got hurt too.
He tore his ACL.
They went 4-11 and won. 4-11 and won.
So how many games did he win before he got in?
Yeah, because he maybe 10 games he played.
I believe he was 2-7-1. I want to say. I'll have to double check.
So
he was 2-7-1 in his rookie season.
Again,
Brandon Allen 1-4 for the 2020 Cincinnati Bengals.
The Brandon Allen.
So
no wonder they brought him over. But again, listen. Yes, Cam, he needs to get better, and I'm not saying, I don't think I've ever said on these airwaves that Cam doesn't need to get better, or I don't think these are the areas that, if he doesn't get better, then yeah, we got to. But I've also said, listen, quarterbacks are not made in a year. Okay, they're just not in this game. They are not made in a year. It takes time. Some quarterbacks start off a little bit faster than others. Some start off fast and then relapse. This thing is a marathon. And unfortunately for these quarterbacks, they're asking them to run a sprint inside of a marathon. That's what they're asking them to do. I want you to run. That's why not many people can run a 400-meter dash. It's a sprint, but a marathon. It's sort of this long sprint. Or the 800, this long sprint. You're asking them to run this. You're asking them to run this long race, but run it as if it's a sprint. It's hard to do. And I don't know why people don't understand that. I could see if Cam was in his second, third year, just like Will Levis. I spoke the same thing about Will Levis. It was his first year. Let's see how this kid do in his second year. He's made some good throws. I was excited about him. He came out second. It just wasn't working.
It's
so
hard
I
when
stick
you
to
see
my when I see things, I recognize it in this game, and I'm not if I like the player or not, if I know him, if I don't, I'm gonna shoot it straight how I see it. And you can't compare Joe Burrows, even though he wasn't good, but he had a better supporting cast than Cam Ward. And I know you got to understand that.
I think it's just hard when you put a set of numbers with Levis and you look, he had some he had the lows were really low, like comically bad, really bad. But he did have a couple of really good games. And Ward hasn't had that one great game. He hasn't had the 4 touchdown pass game.
He's had a great quarter.
Yeah,
One quarter.
a couple big flashy drives. You know, it'd be nice. I don't know. They may not want to win these games, but I mean, maybe he lights up Cleveland or lights up New Orleans, and you're like, okay, I see him capable of playing. So you haven't seen that. And if you put the numbers side by side with Levis, they really don't look that different. So I can see why people are concerned. But I do think if you look closer, if you look closer, I do think he's making some small steps, and he's got to keep making this. This is what the problem was with Levis. He had some moments where like, okay, let's see if he can get better. And he didn't get better.
No.
He got worse.
Yes.
And the one thing that Cam Ward isn't doing, and Cam Ward has had some turnover issues, had another fumble yesterday, but let's count off the top of our heads if we can. How many Will Levis-esque turnovers has Cam Ward had? He's had a couple where he's lost the ball without being hit. But how many Will Levis-esque turnovers has Cam Ward had?
Not
Not in that manner that Will had.
But he has turned the ball over.
Yes,
He's got to cut down the fumbles. The fumbles have to be cut down. He's got to hang on to it.
That one yesterday, he hit as he was winding up. He hit.
There was no room in there.
He hit somebody and then lost the ball. I don't think the guy even hit him. I think he just, as he was getting ready to throw it, hit the back of his elbow, just hit the guy, and this came loose. So, but he has to protect the football. He has to know in a situation like that maybe he should just tuck it.
615-737-1025. We'll wrap up the show next. We'll continue to take your thoughts on the Titans' loss to the Texans yesterday. And Derek, I just want you to know one thing, and we'll discuss it coming up next, but I want you to know one thing. You will always be the all-time receiving leader in my heart. I just want you to know that. I just want you to know that. But we will discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service.
sometimes good yardage is there to be found.
Lamar, and he delivers a strike, and there is Mark Andrews setting the franchise record. He is now the all-time leader in receiving yards for the Baltimore Ravens. John Harbaugh was raving about Andrews in our meeting last night, called him the ultimate competitor, and as Lamar Jackson predicted, he probably won't even celebrate. Got a couple of high fives, but that is it for Andrews. He's all business.
That was Mark Andrews, Baltimore Ravens tight end, breaking Derek Mason's franchise receiving yards record yesterday. And Derek, as I said before the break, I know you're not number one on the list of receiving yards for the Baltimore Ravens anymore, but you'll always be the number one receiver in my heart.
Well, thank you, Adam. I appreciate it.
How does it feel? Like, you know that the record's
I knew it was
probably going to be broken one day, but how does it feel when you're no longer there?
It felt the same way when I broke it.
Whose record did you break?
Feeling. I can't even.
Was it Todd Heap?
I think it might have been Todd's, or I'm trying to see. It might have been Todd's, because he had been the longest. Or was it? Trying to see. Not Derek Alexander. No. Was it Quadri?
I attempted to look this up last night. I was unable to find the answer.
I'm trying to figure out who's been there and how long they were there. Was it Michael Jackson? They did have a Michael Jackson on their team.
Here's the top five: Mark Andrews, you, Todd Heap, Torrey Smith, Mark Clayton.
So it was Heap. It was Heap.
Okay.
Yeah, I broke Heap. Yeah. But who's under Clayton? That's the thing.
Who's under Mark Clayton?
Yeah.
Ray Rice.
Oh man.
Quadre Ismail.
Yeah, Quadre.
Yep. Travis Taylor, Anquan Bolden, and Zay Flowers. That's the top 10.
And Zay's gonna end up passing.
Michael Jackson, by the way,
yes,
is 11th.
See, there was a Michael Jackson
ahead of Steve Smith,
and he did the kick. Like
yes, he did.
Now D-Mace had a better kick.
Yes,
than Michael Jackson.
He was all. It seemed like he was all legs. Like he had it looked like he was like 6'11" out there because he wore these long white socks.
Yeah,
but he probably was like 6'2".
You mentioned earlier that you did reach out to Mark Andrews.
Yes, I sent him a message to say congrats. I sent it before the game was even played because I had a feeling it was going to break it. But records are meant to be broken. I wasn't there that long. Had I been there, just like had I been here, obviously the record would have been a lot larger there, but I would have had the record here based on, how my career continued to progress after I left here. But it's a humbling, thing for me, but he deserves it. And that's what I said. That's what I sent to him. He deserves it. He's been available, invaluable for that team. Not invaluable. I said valuable people. And listen, one play doesn't make a person's career. And I know he caught a lot of flack last year, but he still was a pro. He still went out there and he's still playing good football. So kudos to Mark Andrews. And he's going to grow that record even larger than what it is now. So he deserves it.
Quick trivia question. Can you name any of the 5 tight ends to lead their franchises in receiving yards in NFL history? Other than Mark Andrews is obviously what?
Okay. Frank. No. Todd Heap.
Nope. Not currently.
Oh, these are
the
right
franchise
now?
history currently.
Tight ends to lead franchise in receiving yards NFL history. So currently.
Oh, currently. Oh, you're not talking about in a season.
No,
okay.
currently.
Currently.
So Mark Andrews
Gonzalez?
is 1 of 5. No.
It's not Ozzie. Is it Ozzie?
Ozzie Newsome.
Oh, it's Ozzie?
7,980 yards with the Cleveland Browns.
Man.
Good pickup, Ozzie Newsome.
Gosh, who else?
Kellen Winslow?
Not Kellen Winslow.
No, Travis Kelce.
Kelsey's
12,691.
Gates.
Yep, Antonio Gates, 11,841.
Fire. He's killing me in the trivia.
Can you get the last one?
The last tight end.
Let me give you a hint.
Tony Gonzalez.
It's not Tony Gonzalez. But let me just double check this.
It's not.
He has.
Is Gronk?
It's not Gronkowski. This tight end has Tennessee ties.
Tennessee ties. Tennessee ties. He had, meaning he played for the Titans or he just lived here.
I'm talking about.
He's from the great state of Tennessee.
Oh, he's from the
Tennessee.
state of Tennessee.
Is he? Let's
believe
see.
so.
Yes, he is.
Oh, he's
Well,
And he
Elizabeth-
played for Tennessee.
and he played for Tennessee.
Played for Tennessee. Dallas.
Yep.
Dallas Clark.
Nope,
No,
not Dallas Clark.
Oh,
Monday Night
gosh.
Football.
He plays for Dallas.
Warren.
Jason Witten.
Jason Witten.
Witten.
Jason
Correct.
Witten,
Jaden was he played for the Titans?
He played for the
He
Balls.
played for the Balls.
Yeah.
Oh, I was
He's
thought
from
you said
Elizabeth,
Titans. Oh, I thought
Yes,
you said Titans.
sorry,
Okay.
he plays for
I
the
was
Balls.
thinking
He played for the
okay,
Balls.
I was thinking
Jason
Tennessee.
Witten is the all-time
12,977
For
yards.
Dallas?
That is, wow.
That's crazy.
I would not have thought
I
he
would
had
have never
more
guessed
yards
that.
than Michael
Witten
Irvin.
12,977. Kelsey 12,691. Antonio Gates 11,841. Ozzie Newsome 7,980. Mark Andrews 5,784.
Wow. I would have never guessed that last one.
Multiple textures. Yes, correct. Jason Witten.
Jason Witten, I would never guess that one.
Jason Witten. So
Because
there
I'm
you go.
thinking when you said
You thought I was talking about the
Tennessee,
Titans.
I thought you were talking about the
Yes.
Titans. So that just totally threw me for a loop there.
Here's an interesting story. Speaking of people with Tennessee ties, from Stuart Mandel of The Athletic, Ole Miss has given Lane Kiffin an ultimatum to decide his future before the November 28th Egg Bowl against Mississippi State. Kiffin, whose 10-1 team is off this week, is considered a candidate for open jobs at both Florida and LSU. A source confirmed that LSU sent a private plane for Kiffin's family to visit Baton Rouge on Monday, and the Kiffins took a similar trip to Gainesville the day before. Lane was not on either trip.
You think Lane Kiffin, that's a veiled threat? Like, seriously? I know what I get what they're saying.
He's got
'cause
2
it's like,
weeks.
yeah. It's like, listen, man, make your decision. You know how much money we want to give you. So he knows what's on the table for him there. But Lane's like, man, I may not be in this position ever again. So you know what? Let me make my decision when I make it. And I think that's fair to him.
If you have a good relationship,
Yeah.
I would hope that you could have that conversation. Go,
Exactly.
look, I know this is a big decision for you.
Mhm.
I know where we are in the universe. You've done great. We want you, but
I get that.
help
part
us
too.
help
Yeah,
us out a
I get
little
that
bit.
part.
Can we talk about a date where you can make this? Will you give us your decision by X?
But
You're
there's-
asking. You're not.
Yeah,
telling.
you're asking. But there's almost like like, don't put this out and as if I got an ultimatum. Like, there are several teams that want me, and I can get way more money with LSU or Florida than I do here. That's the part. Is like, okay, why did somebody put that out? Because now, if they lose a game, that's going to be the reason why everybody's going to blame it on, the university put out this, sort of ultimatum for, Lane Kiffin to either tell us he's staying or leaving, and that distracted the team. So why would that's dumb of the university to even leak that out?
Brett McMurphy.
Or it could have been Lane Kiffin that leaked it out. You never
Maybe.
know. Him and
Brett
his team.
McMurphy, veteran college football reporter, tweeted this a couple of hours ago. Quote, if Lane Kiffin doesn't meet deadline, Ole Miss would have to decide if it would allow him to coach in playoffs. Sources told On3 Sports, if there is no resolution, it will be an agonizing decision for Kiffin and the Rebels.
So why would you even do that
You're
as
in the
a
playoffs.
university?
You can't it'd be worth it to say. Now, is there a scenario he would leave the team?
But
if his team is in the playoffs,
I don't
think he would coach the rest of the season.
You would
right?
have to coach the season.
Matthew in Nashville says if he leaves, which I don't think he will, he'll leave in the middle of the night like he did with Tennessee and not tell anyone.
Well, it's almost like
Mattresses
they're
burning
yeah,
in the
it's like-
dorms.
but why would you, as a university, and you're so close to the end, like the end meaning do the playoffs and stuff, you're a few months away from all of that. Why would you even allow this to be put out there? Because now this becomes a distraction for everybody. So
I don't know.
The plot is thickening.
Yes, it is.
The plot thickens. Absolutely. Let's see. I had on our conversation about quarterbacks, Mike on our text line says, quarterback, some assembly required, batteries not included. Cam's just missing some pieces right out of the box. That is a hard conversation to have with your child when the batteries are not included and you're out of batteries.
Oh,
man.
I've been living that life lately. Yeah. I've been living that life lately. Joey from Bellevue says,
especially the size D batteries.
Yeah, nobody
usually not
carries
laying
D,
around.
you never have the
you never have them in the house.
Well, you never have the double. You always have the triple A's when you need the double A's. You never have the double A's when you need the triple A's. That's the hard part.
But it's like a function. Like every convenience store has got the double A.
Yeah.
The D's, you got to go. It's not as easy to find.
9 volts. 9 volts.
9 volts.
Yeah,
not easy
they're
to
the
find.
worst.
Yes.
They are the worst.
9 volts are bad. Joey from Bellevue says, Derek, I don't agree completely with your Cam Ward, Joe Burrow. Look at J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota with Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson. He is awful. And Minnesota will finish last. The Titans would kill to have all three of them.
But that's the thing. You're comparing him. You look at JJ, and even though JJ is struggling with proven, players out there, Cam can even show you that, okay, give me some players like that. And then we can kind of make the determination whether I'm good or bad. But we can't say that because he doesn't have a Jefferson or Addison or some of these other guys. He's driving around, or he's not driving around. He's being pushed around. I don't know what it is. He needs an engine, but he has sort of like, he's pedaling, but he needs engines. He needs an engine to play in this game, and he's pedaling right now.
One texter says, Cam just needed NWI. Let's see how Nick Westbrook-Akine is doing this season. Let's recall last season for the Titans. 32 receptions, 497 yards, and 9 touchdowns. This season for the Dolphins, 11 receptions for 89 yards and 0 touchdowns.
Ooh. Has he been unavailable?
He's played in 11 games.
He's played in 11 games?
Yes.
Man.
So he is just buried down the depth chart.
I had not checked up on this.
Me either.
I had.
I do remember us making sort of a big deal, like Nick Westbrook-Akine. He could help.
Ooh.
But yeah, he has been a complete non-factor with the Miami Dolphins. One texter says, why is Ole Miss giving him ultimatums? I could see LSU and Florida doing that, but not Ole Miss.
And that's the thing. It's like,
meaning Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, Lane. This guy has your team, has your university or your program in a position to be in the college football playoffs.
I would say pretty close to a lock.
Yeah, and they are one of the best teams in the country. Why would you want to cause any friction right now? Like, why would y'all even
because you have to get there first. You have to get there first. Like you think
Ole Miss, by the way, only has one more game left. It's that game at Mississippi State.
And so
and they're 10-1.
That's not a gimme. It's a rivalry game, but they should be heavily favored in that game.
But
crazy things happen.
But then you throw in something like this, and now it's a distraction.
100%.
Yeah.
The egg ball. It's being scrambled right now because of what's going on with Lincoln.
I get that somewhere in here. Like I don't know if I would get it. I would. It's probably unfortunate that this gets out, but Brett McMurphy's a good reporter. He knows the SEC, but at some point, you try to pin him down and say, look, what is it about? Is it X amount of dollars? Do you want to be here? Right?
But do you
want to be here or do you want to be somewhere else? If you don't want to be here, let's figure this out. Like coach through the playoffs, something like that. Have that discussion.
But
if he's stringing you out and he's not giving you answers and you got your agent doing all this stuff, then I understand where it's a little bit of, look, we can't just sit back. This may be the best season we've ever had. Let's not blow it.
You got to put together plan B just in case he does leave anyway.
Can you imagine somebody taking over in the playoffs?
And win?
Playoffs? Like you make the playoffs, but the coach leaves? Like that's unprecedented, right?
Man, that is very unprecedented.
That'll do it for us today. We're glad that we're all back. Willie, it's like you never left, although you've been gone for basically 2 weeks. But we're glad to have you back. We will be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Clark Lee will join us at 4. Trevor Matich will join us in the 4 o'clock hour as well. The newly crowned BYU Hall of Famer, Trevor Matich. So congratulations to our friend Trevor. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 o'clock sharp.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful Monday. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that music? Don't you forget about us because we will be back tomorrow on these airways at 3 p.m. Peace.